That's okay. Right. So I guess some of our participants are still taking some time to join in. We can get started. Basically, we'll do a quick recap of what we started in the last session, and we'll connect with what we are lined up for today. So pretty much, yeah. In the last session, we started with the define phase, and with respect to define phase, we discussed about the flow of the topics that how actually it would uh, happen in a real project. So first thing first, when we start with a project, uh, we need to select the project. So in the define phase, the entire purpose is to find and select the right project. There are a lot of challenges in the organization. You cannot solve every possible problem in the organization. So hence, what you do is you uh, pick up the best possible situation, and there are ways to find the best possible problems which your organization is going through. Uh, and the first thing we will do is to collect voice of customer. So we can adopt multiple methods to find what your customers are complaining about, and your customers could be your internal customers, your external customers, all become a part of your customers. Now, I'll just quickly put everyone on mute in the meantime, just to avoid any background noises. Okay. Uh, Once we have figured out the relative audience, the right audience with which we will be doing some sort of survey, we'll be meeting them, we'll be conducting some sort of focus group meeting. Now, bottom line, we will collect a lot of problems, and these will be more like a raw data that you will be dealing with, like a survey result, which is very much raw. We cannot make any sense out of it. So yes, we need to do is we need to classify the VOC using affinity diagram. So affinity diagram will convert that raw data into a structured data, so you can take some decisions. So you kind of collaborate, you summarize the survey results. So basically, when using an affinity diagram, what you will be able to do is club together same or similar problems in one logical group. So like in the restaurant example we talked about, we put all the quality issues into one segment, all service related challenges in one segment, all infrastructure related challenges, some profit related. So same or similar ideas are clubbed together. When you do that, you're able to remove the duplicate ideas. And third, practically when you're collecting data, when you have collected surveys, you know how many people complained about a particular problem. So like food quality was not good, 23 people complained about it. Slow service, 11 people complained about it. So this kind of data can be used for selection of project if you're going with a Pareto chart. So we'll talk about all those methods which we use for selection of project. This is one method of selecting a project, which is by the means of Pareto chart. So for Pareto chart, you need data like this: the type of issue and the count of issue. So we'll be talking about all the methods that are generally practiced in the industry for selection of projects. So we will be continuing with what we discussed in the prioritization part. Like we have to start with this. Anyone has any questions or confusion with respect to what we discussed last time? In case we have any, please do let me know, else we can get started with today's topic. Are we good with it?
Shashi, hi Shashi, this is Rami. I recall last time you mentioned we will be able to do some mock-up exams or tests. Would you
Yes.
be able to let us know where would, because I tried to look a bit and I couldn't find, I found from last year and stuff like that, but
Okay.
there's something in particular that I was supposed to be looking at that I did not.
No, actually, we haven't shared it right now because, see, as we already discussed, Six Sigma will learn into 5 different phases. Define phase, most likely will be covering up, will be completing it today. So by the end of today, you will be receiving a link which will have the questions related to define. You can attempt those exam. In the same link, you will have the question by every phase. So whenever a phase gets over, like a define phase gets over, you will you can go and attempt that mock test, So I'll be sharing like on IMC will be sharing a link with every one of you, which will have the question by phases. So when you complete the measure phase, we know the topics. It's good time to test our knowledge. That's when you can go ahead and try out the mock test for measure phase. So by the end of every phase, you would be expected to work on that particular phase related question. So we know that every phase when we complete, we have got the understanding clear. So that will definitely be coming to you all today itself, or by tomorrow. IMC will be sharing the details. I'll quickly show it to you by the end of the day today. While we ending the session, I will show you how that mock test looks like. How would you go and make the attempt the exam? It's like a simple framework where you can kind of go ahead and attempt the few questions by phases, so that we can at least understand every phase. So that will come to you, everyone, today itself. But yes, by the end of the day, before we close this session, I'll show you the questionnaire, that how it looks like. So that you'll have the link. On that link, you'll have question for every phases, but do not attempt those questions beforehand. Once you're done with the phase, then I would request you to go for it. So yes, today when we complete the defined phase, you're ready to go and attempt the questions for defined phase. Is it okay? Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Rami. All right, so I guess I did not get any other question. I will continue with what we are lined up for in terms of project selection. This is where it becomes very critical for a black belt to have that understanding, because you will be at a green belt. No, you would not be in a position to select a project by the virtue of the position. You would not be into the decision making role. You would not be probably included in that conversation, being honest, at a green belt level. But yes, at a black belt level, when the project selection is done, the key people will be involved. Key people will include definitely the sponsor, the VP of the organization, anyone who's the funding authority, who's going to invest in the project. Number two, you will definitely have the champion, the head of the department where the project is being done, either operations, quality, finance, marketing, HR, whatever department. The head of the department will be definitely a part of that particular discussion in selection of the project. Then you will have some key people within that department, probably some senior managers, general managers, anyone someone like who's got a say in that department will be a part of it. And definitely from Six Sigma perspective, a black belt will be a part of that particular meeting where we will be selecting a project. Now, uh, our role would be more of helping them with different options which are available. Now, we're not the one who will be, see, you are given any project, you can work on any project, any problem, any department, but it's a question of like them selecting the most relevant project. So yes, we have the tools with which we will be able to help them understand these are tools or options available which we can use for selection of project. Let's discuss those. So you can discuss the benefits of a tool, what does it help us with, and then let them decide what they want to go with. Now, first thing first, when we talk about prioritization part, uh, Pareto chart can be used, which is also known as 80-20 rule. Uh, Basis this, we only select the problems which are maximum number, which are contributing like maximum number of issues. So let me quickly show you, so I think I sort of showed this thing earlier, but let me quick, it won't harm, so that we can do a quick recap of all these phases that we're going to be covering up. So we have got some data. So this is some company who's sort of trying to improve their quality and the process. They want to look at the defects that they found, the issues they found. They found like 274 issues of missing screws. They found 59 issues of missing clips. Some defective housing was what they found. 19 issues. They found 43 issues of leaky gaskets. So as and when some problem happened, they continued to maintain the log. They maintained the data, and they were able to collect this data. Basis this data, if I want to select which is my most critical problem, well, definitely I look at it and I understand that this is the most frequent problem. Technically, Pareto chart is going to do the same. But the logic of 80-20 is what we got to keep in mind. This gentleman, Alfred Wilfred Pareto, an Italian guy, way back in 16th or 17th century, he was given the responsibility by the king to do a research and come back with the findings about wealth distribution. How is the wealth distributed within the entire kingdom? So these guys sort of did a lot of research, surveys, and they came back with a eye opener, and that was eye opener for everyone. In terms of like 80% of the wealth was controlled by 20% people. So only handful people, few people had almost 80% of the wealth, and remaining 20% was with 80% people. So like big gap in terms of in wealth distribution was understood. The same logic was later on incorporated and used by industrial experts, quality management professionals. Specifically, this was reinvented, I would say, used in industrial purposes by Ishikawa. We will be talking about Ishikawa. We'll be learning about 7 quality control tools, that this is one of them. When we come to that stage, when we'll learn about 7 quality tools in analyze phase, we'll be sort of talking about this back again, because it's a part of one of those 7 quality tools. So this guy used this older defined logic in solving industrial problems. So as per this gentleman, well, the same logic was applied, that if you have any 80%, like any list of problems, maximum problem will come because of few reasons. Few reasons may be contributing maximum problem. So you don't need to run after everything. So like how does Pareto looks like? Again, any which ways will be, we won't go and deep dive into Pareto right now, but just to kind of show it to you. When we do 7 quality tools, we'll talk about this in detail. Just want to make sure that we at least have a image in front of us so we can recall when we do a Pareto chart. So what it tells us that whether you work on missing screws, missing clips, leaky gasket, defective housing, or whatsoever, your efforts will be almost same, more like same. So even if you're trying to solve a problem related to defects related to scrap, you have to invest time, money, effort to solve that problem, or for that matter, missing screws also. But the gain is like there'll be huge difference. If you solve this problem, you're going to solve a big chunk of the problem rather than working on this, which is happening like only 4 times. So this gentleman, as per Pareto, 80% of your problem will come because of 20% reasons. So technically, if I look at 80%, where is that 80%? This is where my 80%. How do I know? Basically, just trying to kind of get rid of this shaded part. That here at the bottom, there's a cumulative frequency line, tells me that these two problems alone, the missing screws and missing clips, these contribute 78.7% of the problem. So we don't need to be absolutely adamant about 80-20. It just talks about a like a bifurcation, like majority of the problems will come because of few reasons. So these two problems alone contribute 78.7% of the problem. So if I want to solve my big chunk of my problem within my organization, I will go with a Pareto chart, which helps me prioritize my biggest constraints here, biggest problems. These are the two big concerns. If I solve them, I will be like better off. So that's how Pareto chart works. Now I have my reservation with Pareto chart. Why? Because it doesn't look at what this problem is all about. It does look at only the numbers. So your highest problem may not be the most critical one. It's quite possible the problem which is happening most number of times may not be the most critical ones. Probably these ones could be a more critical problem, a fatal problem, because of which your business existence can be at stake. So unfortunately, Pareto chart looks only this side of the problem, not why it is happening. So pretty much if you are just concerned about reducing the number of problem, not what type of problem, but number of problem, then you go with Pareto. So technically when we talk about Pareto chart, it is when you're trying to reduce the number of a problem, not the type. So then you can look for count based importance is what we look for. That's when we are go with Pareto chart. So if you're dealing with challenges, there are a lot of complaints, defects, and you just want to reduce the number, then go with the Pareto. That's the right method to select a project. uh, Coming to, okay, are we good with Pareto for now? Again, in which ways we'll learn about that. Pareto, is that okay for now, everyone? When to use this tool? Purpose, is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So
Yes, sir.
moving on to the next thing, which is Kano model. Now, people also call it as Kano, but ideally we should call it as Kano model, preferably for a simple reason, because Kano, Japanese people, it's the name of a guy who actually introduced this model, and his last name is Kano, and Japanese pronounce this name as Kano. So we should prefer using it the way Japanese, the native people call it, Kano. Now, sort of, I'll quickly go back on, no, not this one, not, let me quickly go back to this training materials. I'll quickly have a look at this. How does the Kano model looks like? And we should have a fair bit of idea about that. Now, that's how your Kano model looks like. Very, very simple, simple model, but it has a lot of sense. The current business dynamics, industry-wise, quality, the definition of quality revolves around Kano model. The logic are still the same, and until something comes better comes, which can sort of overcome or like supersede the Kano logic. Now, first, let's understand what these the image talks about. This x-axis, this is the x-axis that we're talking about. This x-axis is about the functionality of your product or service. So it's here the functionality is 0. Here the functionality is 100%. Here the functionality is 50%, midway. So let's just assume that you have a cell phone. You keep your cell phone here. That means it has 0 features in it. You add some features in the cell phone. Here the phone has say 25% features. Phone has some features active. We add some more features, add some more features. Here my phone has like say 50% features active. It's 50% functional, 50% not working. We add more features. Here my phone has say 75% features, and here my phone has 100% features. So here my phone is fully functional and ready to be used. So this axis is about functionality. Here it's 0%, here it's 100%. And so as we move from left to right, the functionality increases. It in a service industry, it could be the percentage of service like delivered. 0% service delivered, 25% delivered, 50% delivered, 75% delivered, 100% service delivered. So bottom line is the x-axis, which we'll talk about functionality of a product or service from low to high. That's what is this axis. Now the other axis we are interested in is this axis, which is, you may call that Z axis or Z axis. This is where my customer satisfaction is absolutely bad. Customer is disappointed, disgusted, and is complaining at this stage. The customer satisfaction is very, very low. The customer gets happy, little happier, gets better, 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 and sort of here at this stage, the customer is neutral, neither happy nor unhappy. Neither the customer is praising you nor complaining about. So it's sort of an undecisive stage where the customer is sort of midway. As we move up, the customer satisfaction gets better, and the customer gets happy, even happier, and then gets delighted, thrilled, keeps talking about you. You're great. I'm absolutely thrilled. Amazing service, amazing product, sort of thing. So customer gets thrilled here, and customer is complaining here. The customer is neutral. So from 0 to 100% satisfaction, this is the range of this Z or Z axis, whatever we use a British accent or we use a American one. So that's these two axes. Now, based on these two axes, there are three curves, which will be the reason why we use a Karna model. This curve, this curve, which is diagonal, and this curve, which is on the top. So let's understand what these curves are going to meant like do for us in terms of helping us understand what to be done, like which project needs to be selected, how Karna model works. Let's quickly go back to the Excel so we can maintain the notes also. So the first curve we are interested in is this curve, which is this one, this curve. This curve at the bottom, this is called basic curve, or you can say minimum requirement curve, or must be curve, or unstated needs of the customer. So you may call it differently, different people call it differently, different recruiters will call it differently. So yes, you should know different nomenclatures. It's very important because you cannot control recruiters. They are where do what kind of term they might be using. Now what is this curve going to do? Now any feature of your product or service, if missing, in case it's missing, if it leads to failure of product or service, it should be put on must be curve. These are minimum required. If there is any product, any feature in your product or service that must be there, if you do not have it, your product or service will fail. Bottom line, we're saying lack of these features will lead to failure, that's of product or service. Your business existence will be at stake. These are minimum requirements. These are minimum requirements. I'll come back to the chat. Just need to explain a bit. And next, along with this, if you have all these basic features, customers will not even notice them. They will never make the customer happy. That's a weird one. These are thankless features, but if they are not present, customers will have serious issues. Bottom line, let's kind of understand why I'm saying so. Let me go back to the chat, quickly take up the question. Is Karna model applicable to all industries? Absolutely 100%. It is applicable to every industry, every situation. It's applicable in a real world also, real life also. Basic features are the ones without which you cannot live. These are minimum requirements which must be there. So it is applicable irrespective of what industry you're dealing with, what department, domain, doesn't matter at all. Now, this is what you're doing post you've done your affinity diagram, you looked at the customer complaints through the survey, you've collected ideas or issues from the customer. That's when you are doing this to select a problem. What problem should we solve? Now try and understand. So let's take a simple example back again. We're talking about the cell phone. If I go to a cell phone like some sort of supermarket, and this guy walks up to me, sales guy, and says, "Sir, we have got amazing phone recently launched. It's a absolutely new brand, and it has best of the features in the world. Like it has got 30 days battery backup. You don't need to charge the once you need to charge in every 30 days. Like it's got probably 150 megapixel camera, and God knows what knows, unbelievable features. But the only problem is that you can't make a phone call, you can't send an SMS. Sorry, that's no longer a phone. If I cannot make a phone call, it's no longer a phone. If cannot send an SMS, that's no longer a phone. These are minimum features. Without these features, I cannot, my product or service will lose its existence. You check into a hotel room and say, you don't find a bed there. Well, that is absolutely bad. Practically, like I won't be asking for this. These are unstated needs of the customer. Customer expects them. If I'm buying a phone, I know for sure there will be a phone call. So I will be able to make a phone call. I'll be able to send an SMS. If I'm checking into a hotel room, basic needs, they are unstated. Customers will never speak about them. They're expected to be there. So bottom line, if you're making like if you don't have them, these are really bad. Then your product will fail, your services will fail. If any product or any service, any features which is there, which will lead to a failure of your product or service, is going to be a critical one. These are basic features. You will not stay in the market if you don't have these features rendered to the customer. Customer must have use these services. Customers should be able to use the services. Unless you are not able to provide it, pretty much you're done. Uh, Having said that, if all these basic features, they will never make the customer happy because they will never notice them. If you would you ever, like, so you want to buy a phone and you go to this shopping mall and like you pick up the phone, uh, would you ever tell this guy, well, thanks, I'm able to make a phone call out of this? No. If it's present, I'm supposed, it's supposed to be there. I will, even if they're present, I will not even notice that. If I'm able to send an SMS, I will never say, well, thanks, I can send an SMS from this phone. No, I would never do that. Even if they're present, I will not notice them. You check into a hotel, you see a bed there. Would you ever pick up your phone and say, receptionist, thanks, I've got a bed in this room? No, ever, never. I would not do that. But yes, when you cannot make a phone call, when you check into a hotel, you don't see a bed, then you have a serious problem. Then you definitely have a serious problem. So having these features will never excite the customer, but not having them will seriously disappoint the customer. So these are your basic needs. So anything that your customers would have complained in the survey, then you collected this information, you need to understand and figure this out, what all features uh, should be put on basic curve. What are the minimum requirements that your product or service must have? You must list them here. So it's not a like it, no, it's not created from a software. You create this image or whatever on a like a PowerPoint or something, and you list all those features here. Like these are the features based on or complaints that your customers are talking about will be the basic features that you will be putting on this curve. Is this okay? The basic part. We'll move on to the next one then, in case it's okay. How about others?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Let's move ahead. The next feature, the next curve is this curve, which has got multiple names. This is called performance curve, competitive curve, one directional curve, unidirectional curve, or you can say this as stated needs of the customer. Customers will specifically demand that I need this service, I need this feature. Well, these are those features which customers will specifically ask for. If you give it, customers are happy. If you don't give it, they will
Estamos
seriously,
sacando.
yeah, yeah, I'm sorry. Uh, well, there's no more like template. Basically, it's just you have to sketch this on a PowerPoint slide sort of thing. So there's no such template available. Like honestly, there's none. You just create one like on a PowerPoint slide. It's just a kind of like further segregating the customer problems into three different levels. One, we must have them. We must take care of those customers' concerns, which are basic features. Then we are looking for the ones which the customers are specifically asking. If you don't give these features, it's not going to hurt you. I would say this would not let your business fail. Where yeah, you might lose some segment of the customer. Bottom line, let's look at this feature and you will understand it. These are those features which are directly proportional to customer satisfaction. If you offer these features, customers will be happy, else not. Bottom line, these are directly proportional. Have a look at this image and you'll in the first case, let's look at the first case also so that we understand. Basic features, remember, if you don't have the basic features which should be there, that means you have less of basic features. This will fall on this curve and satisfaction is low. You add some more basic features, falls on this curve, satisfaction is low. You add more of these basic features, it falls on this curve, satisfaction is low. You add all the basic features, satisfaction is still low. Why? Because customers will never be excited by getting these basic features. Yes, even if you give all of those basic features, it will never excite the customer because customers will never notice them. No excitement because of all the, yeah, you don't have them, then they will have a serious problem. Not having these basic features, having less of these basic features will be a serious problem for the customer. If you do not, if you have all of those basic features, they would not even touch the neutral point because customers will not even notice them. In the other way, when we talk about the competitive features, say customers are demanding for 10 features, you're able to give only one, not so happy. You're able to give, say 4 features out of 10. Customers little better. You're able to give, say 7 features out of them. Well, definitely, it's the customers more happy. Absolutely, you kind of taken care of more of their desires. You give all the features that the customer is looking for. The customer is absolutely thrilled. Directly proportional. You give more what the customer is looking for. Customers are happy. You don't give it, the customers are unhappy. Simple as that. Directly proportional. So bottom line, these are those features with which you uh, definitely want to look at. Like say for example, uh, when you when we talk about say Apple as a cell phone manufacturer, these people have always maintained a segment. So they have decided that they will not be getting into a budget size phone. Apple generally comes with a like a class. So practically they understand that those customers who are looking for budget size phone, we are not dealing with them. So you decide what segment you're going to be working on, because customers may desire anything. I may look for the budget size phone and still want the features of like Apple. I may look for a budget size phone and I may still want the best of the camera quality. No, that's not possible. So technically, these people, when you kind of understand looking at customer complaints, customers can desire anything, but can you fulfill all the requirements? No. You choose your market segment. Like Samsung was never into a premium segment, never. So Samsung, you always used to work with the budget to mid-size phones. Now the only like technically the market hold shareholder in the premium segment was this Apple. Now Samsung has come up with a phone which is into a like a pretty much almost comparable with Apple in that price segment. So Samsung as a company understood that they are leaving a big chunk of market, which wherein there is no competitor. Is only Apple is sort of leveraging that market share. So they try to understand now we will also segment into a different market segment which we have never got into, because customers can desire. It's it depends on your business model. Do you want to work in that segment like a like Xiaomi? It's they came with the logic that we will provide budget size phone with best quality, best features. Well, that's great. Pretty much they're able to touch base on this segment, and then you compete with that segment in that segment, whatever competitors there. So these are those features. So bottom line, if you don't provide those features, you lose that market segment. But here you have to understand, and like you can't get the entire pie. You cannot get every customer. You have to decide what is your business logic. What is your business logic? Based on that, you will decide what are the features which I want to cater to and what is that I can provide. So these are those features where you will try to understand, are there any features which customers are complaining about which I would like to solve, because I want to take care of those segment of the customers. You can't take care of every customer problems. So these are basically looking at these are these are those features with which you compare yourself with your competitors. Like you when you want to buy a laptop, you would compare like your MacBook, you will compare your Dell, you'll compare your HP, Lenovo, and all. You'll try to see the price comparison. You will do like the weight, you will look at the processor and all that stuff. You compare with these features. So these are those features with which you get compared against your competitors. If you are the best in those features, well, somebody wants to buy like in today's scenario, if I want to look for a budget size phone which gives me turbo charging, absolutely fast charging, probably one of the best model so far right now. There's a Realme phone which has come, which can charge like 50% of your battery within 10 minutes. And then if you want to go for 100%, it roughly takes about 30 minutes to charge your full phone, like within 30 minutes. But and this is coming in budget size phone. This was always like always a feature available with the premium, those flagship phones. Always the expensive phone used to have this feature. But yes, these guys came into the segment. So people who were looking for a budget size phone, which can give them ultra charge, fast charging facility. Well, these guys have sort of bagged that market share. All the competitors would lose to Realme in that case, because these guys are able to cater to that customer need, and they are able to address that particular need. So yes, anyone who's giving with the same budget, like same budget range, if they're not able to give this feature, pretty much they will not be preferred over Realme in that case. So practically, you would be looking at the customer complaint and looking at and understanding what are those features as a management, as a business, what is that we would like to cater to, ensuring that, like, we want to take care of that market segment, because you can't get every market. You have to leave something. You can't have every customer as your customer. You would never have. You'll always have certain market share. That's what you would be looking at. Next curve is your exciters or delighters. These exciters or delighters are again a funny feature. Why? Because these are those features when offered to the customer, they will be very happy or delighted probably. If not, nothing changes in their life. They have no clue about such features. Now, bottom line, say, because of my consulting work, I keep traveling frequently. Now, there's a Taj resorts which I've been traveling, Lemon Tree and like Kempinski. Taj, one fine day, sort of offered me upgrade, a free upgrade, and like I generally book a normal suite. They upgraded my, because of my travel history, they upgraded me to a presidential suite. But that was unbelievable. Like, I would have never ever booked a presidential suite with Taj, given the cost. It was never my need also, so I would never book that. Well, I never thought of this possible upgrade also, and I would not even ask for it. But these guys, without any extra charges, gave me a free upgrade. That was definitely a delighter. If they won't have offered me a free upgrade, would have changed? No, nothing. I had no idea that such a thing also exists. So these are those features about which customers have no idea. These are pleasant surprises that you offer to the customer. Obviously, they take hurt, like you take a hit on your profit margins by offering this. So you got to be very, very careful about this, because you end up losing profit margins there, because you give something over and above. The customer is not, probably you waive off somebody's bill in a restaurant. One lucky person gets a bill waiver. Delighter, absolutely thrilled. So those could be things. Probably you dining with your family, and all of a sudden, these people get you a anniversary cake. Well, these guys have been maintaining a log that when is your anniversary, when is your birthday. Well, that's a delighter, surprise delighter. We were not expecting it. So these delighters definitely comes with a cost, and you have to be very, very clear about it. When do you want to give, and how much you want to give, because you can't keep giving this, otherwise your business will not be there. This is not for everyone. Practically, you got to be looking at delighters very, very cautiously. So yes, pretty much these delighters always start on the upper range only, because these are any which is that, if you have less of delighter, customer will be happy, better than that. You give more of it, customers will be happy. You give even more of it, the customers will be happy, thrilled, pretty much. These are unexpected pleasant surprises, all of it. Some unaccepted, these will always be, they will never be in a low range, because customers are not even expecting them. They'll always be above the neutral, because the moment you offer slight test of it, the customer will be better off than the neutral. So these are three different curves basis which the Karna model works. But now another logic which comes into picture with respect to Karna model is that this is a dynamic model, and it keeps changing with time. Now, whatever is your delighter will become, so delighter will become competitive over a period of time, and competitive will become basic over a period of time. So things change. If you are looking at your Karna model, you're always able to understand what's changing in the market, because this market is not stationary. This is not stagnant. It is a dynamic market. It's changing. The customers are changing. The paying patterns are changing. The behavior of the customer is changing. So once you have given an experience of a delighter to a customer, the customer knows that this is possible. So when I check into Taj, I always book the same suite, the same range. And I now, if they don't give me a free upgrade, then definitely I'll tell them, last time you gave me a free upgrade, why aren't you giving me now? It's no longer a surprise for me. Now, if you want to surprise me, give me something more than that. The previous free upgrade is already given. I understand that's possible. I will demand it now. I will ask for it. Well, I check into Leela. I'll tell them, well, Taj gives me free upgrade. Why aren't you giving me? Now it has become a competitive feature. I'm using that feature to compare, because I know that's possible. I had no idea about it. It was a delighter once. So delighter are one-time surprises. You can't keep surprising me with the same old ideas. Once I know it, it has become a competitor. You need to get me something different to excite me further. Similarly, all competitive features will become a basic features. Like if you talk about a cell phone, even just think about uh, a cell phone like 10 years ago, you would have like questions. Am I talking about a touch screen phone, or I'm talking about a keypad phone? Now, when you talk about phone, we always mean a touch screen phone. When we talk about like a once upon a time having like a like VGA camera in a phone was a great thing. People were asking for it. Now technically things have changed. Like you are like having a Facebook or a WhatsApp feature in a phone was an optional thing. Now when you talk about phone, you always know there will be camera in it, and there will be a good camera. There should be a Facebook feature, WhatsApp feature. You should be able to use all those apps. Well, definitely. Once upon a time, it was a choice whether you want to have this phone or that phone, whether phone will have a WhatsApp or Facebook feature or not. Things have changed. So competitive features will also change with the time and to become basic. Things change, market changes. So whenever you're doing this kind of model, you have to look at the current market sentiments to understand what has changed, because whatever was good a year ago may not be same today. So yes, getting regular surveys helps you to understand what's changing the market, and accordingly improvise your services, improvise your product, because customers would demand, customers needs will change, something would have changed. If we do not upgrade ourselves with the market dynamics, pretty much will be an obsolete thing, because customers would be their expectations keep increasing with time. So going back to the chat, I guess there's some question. Would delighter be factors be perceived like a goal plating requirements? Yes, Bhavin, you are absolutely correct. These are exceptional offers, or this something which is unplanned. You can give them, but you can't give them too much of it, because that's going to hurt you from business standpoint. So these are definitely like an add-on thing which customer is not even planning for it. Customer is not even thinking around those lines, but you give them just to get it's like a feel good factor sort of thing. Yes, you have your customers on your side. The customer will talk about this with 10 different people, more like keeping your customers engaged with something or other. That's what you use the delighter for. You can't use too much of them. Anyone has any questions with respect to Karna model? It's a basic model. It's a basic model, but yes, uh, it is used in every project, not just Six Sigma, any project. Bottom line, we need to understand, because we have to select out of multiple problems, and you have to select some. Doing Karna model will not give you a project clear cut. You will be able to segregate some of the customer complaints as basic complaints, which must be addressed. Some complaints could be desires of the customers. Some you would like to cater to, some you would like to leave because you don't want to get into that segment. Some you might feel the customers are looking for that. We will see to it whether we can. So what it has done, it has broken down your survey into three levels. First, you must address these problems, then move on to this, and then move on to this. That's it has first segregated these particular like limit these particular surveys into three different segments. How will you know when to stop giving delight just to the customer? No, technically, see, it's more about strategic move, marketing move. When you see, like it's more of the marketing gimmick, nothing as such right time or like how much. It's about how much you can offer. Like if I can talk about India, we had a delighter. Like so, just want to like we had this uh, data which was free, like it was chargeable, very much chargeable, and all of a sudden this Geo Reliance came into picture, and they got offered a free calling, everything, and we got it for almost a year. I think more than a year. That was a delighter, and people were paying a hefty amount for making those phone calls. Every minute bill was billed. So, and free calling, free SMS, free data. God knows what do you want that. So practically that was a delighter, but yes, it had to come to an end, and that's when they ended it. Now it's chargeable. Delighters can definitely address customer complaints. See, it's just about having the like you can't use that as a bait. Yes, you would like to make sure that the customers are like happy about certain things. So just to keep something people pepped up. I would not be able to solve the customer complaints with delighters. I would say I can't use this as a bait, and this can't uh, can be a temporary relief that you can offer. But remember, once you offer this thing, customers would always expect this going forward also. So you have to be very careful about. It's a thin sword, it's a double-sided sword. Yes, definitely it helps you, but yes, be ready, because customers would demand for it nowadays. When because Geo made it payable, chargeable, then customers started moving out from Geo, because then technically there was no fun. So things change. Yeah, when you use a delighter, you have to be very cautious about it. Is that clear, Shama?
Yes, sir. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
perfect. All right. Anyone has any question about Karna model? In case you have, then we can discuss that. Else, we'll move on. But yes, for now, Karna model, it so bottom line, what it does, it helps you uh, break down survey into three segments: basic, competitive, and delighter. So bottom line, you are able to get first level of filtration. So I would not look into delighters first. I would not look into competitive first. My biggest constraint, if the customers are complaining about something which is basic, it must be addressed urgently. Otherwise, your business will be at stake. It's very important to ensure that the basic needs are taken care of. Otherwise, you won't be in the market. Forget about being competitive. Forget about being like making the customer feel delighted. No, basic problems must be addressed first, because that's the foundation. If you stay in the market, that's when you will be able to compete. If you don't take care of basics, you won't be in the market later on. Your product on discount all the time. Okay, let if you all if you always have a product. So I know for sure. Let me give you a simple. I know that I get 10% discount on my American Express card whenever I go to some of the restaurants. I get fixed 10% off. That's not a delighter. I know for sure it exists. It's a competitive requirement. I would sort of compare. Yes, when I use my City, I get only 7% off, and when I use my American Express, I get 10% off. So I know for sure there's a competition in terms of discount percentages I get on Amex versus City card. Now, all of a sudden, like say on over and above what I get, there's a short time offer which goes on for next 5 days. There's a if you end up spending this amount of money, you get extra membership points or extra discount. Well, that's a delighter. But yeah, you don't want to be running those like, because there are, if you know something, it's a basic feature. Yeah, perfect. Now, moving on, uh, Karna model will be the first levels which we can use for segmenting it, but it will not give you project, because there could be multiple problems in the basic also. You have not got your project, because there could be five different problems which might be basic. Now, out of those five, which one should I use? I can't solve all five at the one time. So yes, it will not help you clean up everything and get a final project. You may be starting with say 30 different types of problems, which you're probably segregated now. In out of 30, you know for sure, say there five are basic. Just a random example. Say you've got 20 as competitive requirements, and five you got as delighters. Now, you know for sure, first thing first, I must address the basics. Otherwise, there's no point even talking about these five. So out of these five, I need to further select a project. I've not selected, but it has done a lot of, brought a lot of relief to me. I know these are based on market sentiments, current market sentiments, and I must look into this because that's basic, and my business is at stake because of this. So practically, I would only deal with these five now, rather than if you're very somebody feels very strongly about any competitive or delighter, then you may also include that in the selection criteria. Only if there is a strong recommendation by some of the process owner that we must include this also in the discussion. Yes, you can add, but these basic must be included. If there is something you want to pick out of this with a strong recommendation, yes, definitely you can add that for the final selection. Now, final selection of deciding one single project, you need one of these models. So I will use ideally how I would use. I'll use Kano plus this. I'll use Kano plus this. I'll use Kano plus anything. I will start which will be more like this. I'll use Kano to filter out something, get the meaningful. So I don't deal with so many problems in these selection criteria. I only have handful. So Kano has done first level of filtering. That's what has done. Now I can use one of the model to select one single project. Let's talk about the first one, which is ISO 13053 2011 version, which is ISO standard for Six Sigma. This will help you understand and select the most critical project. This is how ISO tells you how a project needs to be selected in a Lean Six Sigma world. Now, moving on to this small file, which has, uh, which I'll be placing in the Google Drive, project prioritization model. Have a look at this. This image has been picked up from the ISO document, ISO 13053 document. This is the one, and a small example how project needs to be prioritized as per ISO version. Now, there could be some problems that you maybe want to maybe trying to solve. These could be basic problems or something which is strongly recommended, competitive problem, whatever problems you have finalized that these out of these problems. So you could have two problems, three problems, four problems, or whatever number of problems you have here. You list them here in the under the project title. These are the problems which needs to be. We have to select one of them as a project. So in this example, we only have two. You can have more also. Next, it talks about five questions. There are five standard questions. First of all, five standard questions. So you cannot change these questions because they are coming from ISO. You cannot change them. Otherwise, you cannot say that I am using the ISO version of standardization. No, it is going to be, these are verbatim. They will stay as it is. You cannot edit the questions. What are those questions? Customer importance, I will talk about them, but who decides this? Definitely your CEO or all whatever sponsor who's funding the project, the champion. You will have the say somebody who is the like say general manager or anyone who's like an other process owner. So wherever the project has been done, some relevant key people will be there, and definitely you, if you have a master black belt, and definitely you will be a part of the discussion team. You're providing them the template, the process. You're not doing it unless until you have the core idea about that particular process. You're just helping the key people in look use this model and select a project. uh, First thing first, what these guys would be discussing to understand this, every problem will be rated on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 to 10 is what is the scale being used here, 1 being the worst rating and 10 is the best rating. So based on the current industry like requirement company issues that you're facing, which one is the most critical problem in the eyes of customer? What is the customer complaining about more? What does the customer care about more? From the customer standpoint, which one is the more critical problem? Is invoice investigation error, like some invoicing error, is that more critical as of now? Or low yield, low production, is that more critical as of now given the current situation? So people may have difference of opinion. Somebody might say 6, somebody might say 7. So more like what happens like uh, as a group we have to settle at a number, at settle at a rating. You can have, I can't just say 7 or 8 and I should be able to support my rating. I should be able to talk about, because this is very debatable one. Some of you may think 5, I might think, say I might think 6. Now what is the definition of 5, what is the definition of 6? There'll be a lot of ambiguity. So we will talk about something called conflict resolution methods. So we'll talk about that later, like today itself. But whenever you get into an argument or there is a difference of opinion, how do you resolve it? We'll talk about conflict resolution, but later today. Uh, so technically, as a team, we have to settle down at a number or a rating based on the customer importance, given the customer, uh, which one should be rated higher. So as a team, unanimously, we all agreed that this should get 8 on 10, and this got 6 on 10. So that's the one which we answered the first question. Second question is expected total project cost. Now, given this is where we can definitely help the management, it becomes easier. When you have numbers, job becomes easier. So you can create a small table like this, which is like say $0 to say $1,000, and just you can create your own table. I'm randomly putting some values here. So $1,000 to say say $2,000, and say $2,000 to say $3,000, so on and so forth. You will, I can create a table for cost. This is cost table, and so this is cost range, cost of the project, and this is the rating. Now, lesser the cost, better is the project. So say 10 rating, lesser the cost, little expensive, 9, 8, 7. As the project gets more and more costlier, the rating goes down. Cost lesser the better. So yes, definitely these people will sit down, brainstorm and discuss what will be the tentative cost and all that. They will speculate based on the industry and understanding. They would come with a tentative cost, and based on that they can look at the range and then finalize the rating. So based on this, this was figured out that this will be less costly and this will be a little more costly in this case. So we pretty much picked up this as a like this was picked up as a like a better project. It's a reverse ideally we should be using. This would probably be taking a lot of cost in it. This will be like a less costly project. Say increasing the production could be less costly rather than fixing, depending on the problem. They whatever they understood, this will be tentative cost. Table helps to kind of get a clarity. Now, the next question is likelihood of project success. Now, this is where the management has to brainstorm again. There is some bit of ambiguity, but what is the purpose of this? Now, as an organization, let's be honest. Let's be honest. How do you think, like, what are the chances that we will be able to complete this project successfully? Everyone desires to change and make ourselves a blue chip organization. The probably bring in artificial intelligence. Well, everyone can expect anything, but let's be honest and realistic. Given the culture in the organization, how people are receptive to change, you have to understand that people in the organization, that these are people who will be driving the project. So you have to be honest, like how receptive are the people to change. Do we have a culture of projects? Do Are people sensitized about lean six sigma projects? Do Have we done a project like this in before? Like, bottom line, looking at all those, like funds availability, resources, given the current situation, keeping all those factors in mind, how do you think, like, how much, what is the probability that you will be able to complete a project successfully? Based on that, it was unanimously understood or believed that investigation error, we have done similar projects like this before and we have been able to successfully solve them. It's much easier to solve this one rather than this one. This will be little difficult and might be a little more time consuming. So yeah, we have given a lesser rating. So based on that, now no project can be done without profits in mind. In the end, we're doing a business, it's not a charity, so profit will come first. So yes, we can create a table here also. Profit, again, wherever numbers can come, pretty much get the numbers in place. So instead of cost range, here will be profit range. You can create it and you can create your own table. So uh, I'm randomly creating this table, but bottom line, profit lesser would be bad. So rating will be reverse. Lesser profit, lesser rating, higher profit, better rating. So when we profits increase, so project which can give me maximum profit will get a higher rating. So profit higher, the better. So here it was understood that this will give us profit, but it won't be a big margin. But yes, increasing production will definitely impact our revenue and profits much significantly. So it got a higher rating. Finally, we looked at applicability to other areas. This is a very critical part from a Lean Six Sigma perspective. When you do a one project, technically you have saved a lot of money for future projects, because then you would have an understanding of doing a project. Number two, you would have created a lot of templates, trackers, such methods also. The people would have understood the methods of doing project, selecting projects, doing analysis. You would have completed some risk management framework, which we will be discussing. You would have made some standard operating procedures. You would have certain information material already ready with you, which you can reuse. So when if you are able to reuse the material from the previous projects, it is good project. When you can use the logic that you implemented in one project, if it can be replicated to other departments, other locations, that's a good project. But if a project is very specific, very technical, and specific to a particular department only, I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not so good, because you're not able to reuse the knowledge in other department. Technically, say if it's an IT only problem, I may not be able to use it in other departments. But if I'm doing a project which is more to do with cost reduction, then I can talk about HR, I can talk about marketing, I can talk about operations. It is applicable everywhere. So more like we would look into the applicability part. If it can be replicated, so production, if you increase the logics of the production increase, can be replicated easily. And this is probably very specific to a invoicing part, just the error part. So probably it's not going to be easily replicated. It's very specific to one type of problem only. This is more generic and common problem for everyone. So we will be able to reuse the logic here. Now, when we have given the rating as a team, next it says the values in the column F, which is the project priority number, is the product of all the ranks from A to E. You multiply this 8 into multiplied by 2 multiplied by 9 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 4 gives you this rating. And this is the for the other one. Here we get the higher project priority number for the production and lesser for the invoicing error. This becomes my project number 1. And having said, I'm not saying that we will not do this project. This is my second project. Once we're done with this, we will move on to the second project. That's what it says. Column number G gives the ranking in which we will be completing a project. So this will be my project 1. This is project 2. So that is about ISO version. So if you're going with ISO, you can't change the questions. That's what you got to keep in mind. The ranking method and all, because it's coming from a standard. We would not make changes with this. Is this okay with everyone? ISO 13053 method of selecting project. Okay, all right, perfect. Let's then have a look at other methods also. When actually one more thing, when do we use ISO version? When your management is too standard free, if they are like too much, they put a lot of emphasis on standards, then you go with the ISO version. If they're too much into ISO and standard freak, I would say, then this is the right method of doing it. Weighted CTQ prioritization method, it's relatively very easy, which you can make it here, right here. Say we have say given from, we have to improve quality. So yeah, quality is a big concern right now, and we have to increase production and say cost reduction. So there are three different uh, projects which we have, and one of them we has to be selected as a final project. What we generally do in a weighted CTQ prioritization method, we will be taking input from the sponsor or champion. So these this let me just minimize this one and then wrap text. Okay, sponsor or the champion. Now what we would do is we'd ask them, given their understanding, because these guys understand the business from a larger perspective. They have a macro, like a big vision. We might have a sight of the business, they have vision of the business. So They're not talking about today, they're talking about 10 years down the line. So they have a broader vision. Given the current situation and the future like in mind, as per their understanding, how much weightage do they give to these different problems? So 35% problem say was 35% weightage was given by say sponsor or champion. Production was given say uh, 25%, which makes it 25%, which makes it 50, 60. This is like 40%. So out of 100%, what is the weightage they are giving to these problems? So these weightages are secured from the sponsor or the champion. Now, practically, once you've done this, these are not disclosed to anyone. Not These are just concealed, hidden, not shared with anyone. Now, who else will be participating in this weighted part? Weightage we have already taken. This is weightage given by the sponsor or the champion, technically the bosses who are going to like fund the project, manage the project. We are doing project for them. Uh, then probably we have say general manager. So we have the GM. Say we have some supervisors within the organization, which are like key supervisor, and we have say somebody from training, we have somebody from quality, we have somebody from say HR, say relevant stakeholders. These are the major departments who would be who have something to do with quality, something to do with production, say some, because these are from the production area, they are from the training part of it, because these people train the people who eventually lead to quality production or whatever. Quality looks into the quality part, HR related with hiring of the people. So these are relevant stakeholders related with our business. What we expect them to do is give these things a rating. Now preferably we use a rating of 1, 3 or 9. Most commonly you'll see this rating being used. 1 is given for low impact, this is for medium impact, this is for high impact. So based on their understanding of the business, their interpretation of the problem, the way we are going through, they would give a rating on a scale of like 139, low, medium, high. So I'm randomly putting these numbers, so please don't take it otherwise. So one randomly say one, and this is a 3, 9, 9, 1, 1. Randomly putting these numbers. Please bear with me. Whatever it may be, just it will may come any number. So different people have sort of interpreted different things differently. So based on the understanding they have given the weightages, rating. The discussion would happen like based on that they would give their final rating. So this is sum of rating of the people, and then there is a final one which is weighted rating. So sum of rating, and then finally we get a weighted rating, which is what we are interested in to select a project. Sum of rating is just add up all the ratings, and then weighted rating is this sum of rating is multiplied by the weightage which was given by the sponsor. We do not disclose this, otherwise people will be biased. People will be biased. We do not want to share that what was given by the sponsor or champion. So this is the final rating. Finally, given the current scheme of thing, these are people who are related with the business, who are going to do something to the business, and these are the people who are the key stakeholders. A combination of there is taken. Technically, I know for sure the biggest project that you should be working on is this one, which is the cost reduction. It's got a maximum weighted rating, second project, and then this is the third project. So you can select a project through weighted CTQ prioritization method. This is how it's done. Very, very simple method, but yes, you end up selecting a project because again, it's always said you can't solve world's hunger in one day. So you can pick up one method, which is very much common. Weighted method is very commonly used in where most of the companies. Is that okay with everyone? Okay, all right. So I'll just move ahead. Viability model is when you have to sort of make an impression on your management. That's when you use a viability model for selecting a project. It's a there are 15 questions in the here you had 5 questions, Here you have 15 questions. And let me show you where is this viability model template. Have a look at, and so it's in the same Excel file that I'll be placing. The first one is viability here. Now, it's very simple. Read this instruction. We won't go over with these questions. Very, very simple. Say like, is there a sponsor or a champion? Do the project goals align with the corporate goals? Is the data available? Are the defects well defined? Is the process stable? Are the, are the customer benefits to the project? Are the company benefits to the project? Can the project be completed within 6 months? And so on and so forth. There are 15 different questions. And what you have to do is, first it says instructions to use the viability model. Edit the weightage. Now, as per the mutual agreement with the stakeholders, on a scale of 1 to 5, you will give the rating weightage with the stakeholder who will be champion or the sponsor. It is more like the what we were using in a weighted method. So similarly, weightage will be given by the champion, which is what we have feed it in this gray area, which is edit the gray cells based on the mutual agreement with the stakeholders. Now, we'll get the team together, and finally as a team we'll have to rate this on a scale of like, is the answer no, mostly no, possibly sort of neutral, mostly yes, and yes. There are five different questions. So based on that, technically you'll see everything will be zero. Wherever you get, like as a team, we agree that this is the question, whatever the answer here. I say, is there a sponsor? Possibly yes. So we change the rating from 0 to 1. So ideally it will always be 1. So you in the column C to G, from column C to G, just change the value from 0 to 1 wherever applicable. Wherever whatever answer is applicable, just change it from 0 to 1. When you change it to 0 to 1, you're done with the 15 questions. You scroll down, and whatever the calculation method happens, you get your Lean Six Sigma project viability score is being calculated here. Now, based on this template, this particular scale, if the viability score is less than 2, it's not a good project for Six Sigma. Lean Six Sigma project cannot be done if your viability score is less than 2. If it is between 2 and 3, then it's sort of a midway, unless until management is specifically okay with it, then otherwise we need to further validate. Ideally, a best project will be anything more than 3 rating. So which is in this case, say whatever is the score, 3.2. It's a viable project for Lean Six Sigma project. So it's like all formula linked, or formulas are already incorporated in here. You can use the template for, so this is template available for, so if you have 3 different problems like quality, improving production, so you will have to make 3 different viability models and then select the best one out of them. So for every problem, you will be creating a like a template like this. This is for a viability one. Uh, Going back to this, so I hope viability is okay with everyone. Like, it's more like the same stuff, but bottom line, it's an exhaustive one. Okay, all right. So moving on to the next one, which is quality function deployment. We will not be discussing it right now. We will be definitely discussing this. It's an important one. If you remember, we discussed about Six Sigma approaches. One is DMAIC, which is what we will be studying now. And there is another version, which is DFSS, Design for Six Sigma. Design for Six Sigma, we have either IDOV or DMADV. So for that, we preferably use a quality function deployment. So we'll be talking about that once we're done with the DMAIC version. We will be studying, we'll pick up QFD at that point in time. Viability model focuses on what kind of any problem, whatever might have selected as like these problems. So you may make one viability model for improving quality, you make one viability model for improving production, you make one viability model for cost. Whichever has got highest viability score is the best project you have selected there. Is it clear, Shama?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Now I'm going to park it for now. So parking this for DMADV. So we will be working on the design of experiment part. So before design of experiment, we will be discussing this because that's how it works. So quickly going back to this so that we can recall this. 1 second. Yeah, see. voice of customer, quality function deployment, followed by FMEA, followed by design of experiment. So we'll cover it up when we complete the DMAIC. We'll be talking about the framework of DMAIC. That's when it will be. Uh, can we use it in a DMAIC, this method? Absolutely, we can use this without any doubt. We can use, these are tools. So this is not linked to a phase. It's a tool for selecting something. So these are different tools for selecting something. These are methods. Use them whenever you do. But industry wise, what's the best practice? People use quality function deployment for creating a new product, for creating a new service. So you take a survey, you do a quality function deployment to select the best out of it. That's how it's done. And then further you design or develop the product as per customer demand. So that's in a DMAD version. So we'll study it when we're doing the QFD with the DMAD. Cost time matrix is again a method which you can select here. You can select a project based on cost, how costly is the project, and how less time it would take. So lesser the cost is better, lesser the time is better. So you have a cost time matrix basis which you can select a project based on the cost. So if the management is too much, there's too much of hue and cry about money, then you use a cost time matrix. In small scale organizations, this will be the right model. But we will be using this in improve phase for selection of solution. When you're improving something, there'll be a lot of solutions. We go with a cost time matrix. So these are tools. There we would be selecting it for solutions. The same logic can be applied for selecting a problem also. Bottom line, model. There is a method. That's what you need to understand. So industry-wise, where do we use it? Technically, we don't use it for selecting a project. We generally use it for selecting a solution. Can we use it for selecting a project? Absolutely. Why not? There is no hard and fast rule. These are not defined by any government as such. These are just the tools. So we can use them whenever we feel like you're the best judge. You're the boss. You decide what's right and what's wrong. Now, coming back to FMEA, if we recall that logic, again, parking this with for DMADB. Why? Again, just want to make sure that we are clear about this. Voice of customer, followed by quality function deployment. You select what is that we need to create based on customer demand, whatever the customer requirements are there, whatever the customer is looking for. Followed by FMEA, we do risk management, and then we go for design of experiment to create the product statistically, design the product statistically. So that's when it will be so we'll be doing it. So in the same sequence when we get to the DMADB part of it. Effort benefit matrix, again in selection of solution. When we are implementing the solutions, we would like to evaluate, there are three different ways to improve the product or improve the services, improve the process. Now, we would like to understand like which one is a better one based on efforts and benefits. So we will like to kind of use this in terms of selecting a solution. Can we use it here? Same like cost time matrix. Yes, we can. It's based on how much effort will be required and what will be the corresponding benefit of doing a project here. In this case, in improve phase, we will be using like how much effort will be required to implement this solution and what will be the corresponding benefit. So very simple tools, but yes, we'll be using it in the as it's used in the industry. But these are, remember, these are just the tools. Without any doubt, they can be used whenever you decide you want to use them. For now, we parked all these for now. The quality function deployment and FMEA with respect to DMADB, and these two are with respect to improve phase. So we'll be covering it up when the phase comes in. Now, any questions before we move on to the next topic here? Anyone has any other question? I'll just put everyone on mute in this case just to avoid background. Okay. All right. Perfect. So we, okay, give me a quick second here. Moving on, like, so at this stage, when you have done the VOC selection, the problem project has been selected. So at this stage, the project is selected. So project is selected. So we understand what VOC will be covering. So which, depending on which method, again, nothing goes right or wrong method. You decide what method works best for you. What is that you comfortable using? Use that. There's nothing called right or wrong. But yes, you should know what is the purpose of every tool. When would you like different people have all like create their own preferred methods. Like I have my preferences, different people have different preferences. So there's nothing wrong or right there. When you've selected the VOC, you need to finally convert that VOC into something called CTQ. CTQ stands for critical to quality. This is nothing other than the key performance indicator, KPI. Like, how do you do it? Basically, let's take a simple example. If you appear for an exam, and after an exam, I come back and tell you that you've done great in your exam. Now, you'll be happy about that, but it doesn't tell me how did I do. Uh, Next time again you appear for exam and again come back and tell you you've done great in your exam. Now there the confusion is even bigger. Was I better last time or I'm better this time? Now, if I tell you that last time you scored 90%, now you scored 95%, there is no confusion. So bottom line, what it means that if you can quantify, there will be no confusion. You must get number based method. If you cannot have a number, you cannot improve. Bottom line, it's an old proverb. We will always say this. I'm sure you all must have heard this many times. Something which you cannot be measured cannot be improved. And so simple as that, you must measure. If you cannot, I can't say I'll improve quality. Well, I understand you'll improve quality, but from what to what? Will increase your production. Well, increase your production, I understand that, but to what level? If you don't give me number, how will I check whether you're getting better or not? So CTQ is nothing other than number based method to quantify VOC. You will get to understand, are you improving or not? So let's take a simple example. I want to improve my profits. Like I have to increase my profits. Now, how would I do it? This is my VOC. My management wants me to improve profits. Well, how can I achieve it? Well, I can increase my revenue in say dollars, whatever dollar. I can reduce cost, reduce rework, like rework in terms of hours, rework in terms of cost, in terms of dollar. Oh, sorry, in dollar. uh, I can look at if I want to improve profits, that means a reduction in defect percentage. Yes, because of defects, I have to rework, which eats at my profit. Well, that's what it is. Reduce scrap.
Sir, we can say reduce the bonus if the company give the bonus.
Absolutely. So anything which is number based, the bottom line, we have to decide as a team which path are we going to choose. If you have to increase profit, you can look into a project which will help you increase your revenue. Yes, my profits will get better. If you reduce your cost, your profits will get better. You reduce the rework, well, definitely you will be able to improve your profit. You rework in terms of dollar, you want to look into absolute amount, not the hours. You want to look at the amount, then definitely it's how are you going to track your performance? You have to decide one of it. Like say my revenue currently, we are doing like $100,000, and by doing this project we would like to increase it to $200,000. Well, that makes sense that you have a project at hand. Currently our cost is $70,000, and we would like to reduce this cost to say $20,000. Currently we end up like doing say 50 hours of rework, which you would like to reduce to 10 hours of rework. uh, in dollar value, again, say our rework cost is say $10,000, which would like to reduce to $2,000. So bottom line, you're quantifying. How are you going to track your performance if you don't have numbers? So bottom line, it is, or you can just have your profit percentage. Like you will look at increase profit, like the absolute amount. Yes, currently our profits are like say 100, like say $70,000. We should like to increase to $100,000. Absolutely, yes. You can look into profit percentages, whatever. Bottom line, it's just a number which is required here. Can you use measured or reduced to lighter improve income? Yes, you can do that, absolutely, because that's a cost also. Depend on, because anything which is cost based will be hurting your profit. So yes, you can definitely look into it. So we can look at the cost when we're doing a cost reduction project. Definitely that will be a part of one area which we would like to chop off to improve our cost margins. Rather than just laying off people, I would rather want to use rational methods. Let's improve the quality. Let's not use delighter as a bait to trap the customers. That's what we like, to improve the quality. If quality is good, probably we don't have to spend this extra cost. Yes, makes sense in that case. Companies which have to do too much of advertisement are the ones who are struggling with the actual. If your quality is good, you don't have to give. Good companies do not offer discounts or more discounts. Bigger discounts come from the companies which are bad ones. So people who understand the quality would not give you the discount. Yeah. Uh, so ultimately, we have got the project like selected, identified. I know how I will track my performance. The most critical part here is your project charter. Now, it's not related with Six Sigma as such. It is applicable in any project. Any project that you submit, you have to submit a project charter. A project charter is the first official document which will be shared with the management, and you cannot be just good at writing a project charter. You have to be excellent in writing project charter. Good is not good enough, because you're not the only one who's competing for a project, number one. Number two, the management is already aware of a lot of problems. Why should they prioritize the project that you're talking about? Your project should be compelling enough. Your project should be that good that yes, the management is bound to, or is compelled enough, like is tempted to start the project. So yes, we need to master the art of writing good project charter. For that, we can look at project charter. Basically is the first official document. So we're going to be discussing all of the other project chart right now. This is where I would definitely want everyone to uh, do some bit of practice, some bit of reading. So one is SlideShare. So just for example, the slideshare.net is the site where you can definitely explore, read out few project charters, just so that you have an idea how project charter looks like, how people draft a project charter. Bottom line, just to give an idea. That's the, like a, from a learning perspective, because different people have different styles of explaining the project charter. It's good to know. The more you read, the better clarity would be able to get. Plus, do think about a problem in your mind, and then try to draft a project charter as you would do in a real world. And that's what you have to do when you do a project. So you have to get into the habit of writing a project charter. For that, do some bit of practice on that. But before, we will be discussing project charter. What are the key elements you have to keep in mind? I'm sure you all must have downloaded the files from the Google Drive. Uh, there is a sample file here in the data files for class. There's a file defined. There is a Word document called Project Charter. Now, this document is what is like, it's not a, as you grow higher up in the management, your patience becomes low. You cannot read long, lengthy emails. You want to see a small bullet point based like information, and you see to that information and you take a decision. So yes, you do not want long stories there. So project charter technically is comprised of your business case, a problem statement, a goal statement, scope of the project, the timelines of the project, when the phases will start, when the phases will end, define phase, measure phase, resource, tentative resource estimation, tentative expected profit. The more likely, we haven't got the team yet, but tentative resource planning that will be done. That's it. Now, how do we know what to write in a project charter? So it has got some information already here. It explains what needs to be written in a project charter and an example of it. What needs to be written in a problem case of statement, a bad example and a good example of it. So do go through this. I would definitely recommend you all to. I will be writing down a few bullet points, but it's not a lengthy document. So you just can go through this, understand What do you need to write? What are the things you got to keep in mind while writing a business case, problem statement, goal statement, all of it. Small bit of explanation is done here for every section. So you know what are the points you got to keep in mind while writing a project charter. So this is something which is sort of basic study work that you have to do. But let me sort of keep this, get this basic project charter elements and added to this note so that we know what are the basic things we got to keep in mind while writing a project charter. Number one, business case. That's what we had, a business case. Then we had a problem statement. Some companies do not like this word problem. They say opportunity statement. Then we have something called goal statement. Then we have scope of the project, team, and milestones. Different segments. More like that's what would be your uh, tentative project charter, main ingredients that you have to kind of know and draft, because that's what your management will be looking at. Now, what do I write in a business case? That's what you got to keep in mind. Number one, when I'm reading a business case, anyone who has written a project charter, when I'm reading a business case, when you would write your project charter, your management is reading your business case, they are looking for three answers. So you don't need to write in bullet points like this, but you have to keep this in mind. When they read your business case, whatever you written in business case, they would be looking for three answers. Number one, what is the project all about? Technically, what is this project going to do? Is it a quality project? It's a production in project? What project are you going to talk about? Is it a cost reduction project? So yes, when I read the business case, it should tell me what is this project going to do. Number one, that's the what they would be looking for. Number two, they would be looking for what are the benefits of doing the project now. Capital, yes. Why we should do the project right now? Why is there so much of urgency? What will be the benefits if we do it now? Why you should prioritize, leave everything aside right now? This is what is the need of the hour, and what are the implications of not doing it now? If you don't do it now, then what will be the repercussions? What would you suffer? Bottom line, when anyone who's writing a business case and reading a business case, technically, the champion or the sponsor will be looking for these three answers. If your business case has these three answers, pretty much answers to these questions, you've written a good business case. Remember one thing, this is less of uh, facts, numbers, or analysis. This is more of literature, basically a paragraph, a small paragraph, not too much into it, but bottom line, it is less of facts and figures. Problem statement or opportunity statement, this is fact based, number based, analysis based, completely facts based stuff. That's what it is. Now, it is numerical justification of what you have written in business case. You must have written so many things. You must have done some bit of fact finding, some research at your end. That's what it needs to be authenticated. It needs to be validated. That's what it's coming from the problem statement. So whenever you're writing a problem statement, remember one thing, always mention data period under study. You must mention the time period, like when we analyze, say, cost data for the process ABC, whatever the process we're talking about, from Jan 2021 till say April 2021, we figured this out. So yeah, I am telling you what data did we look at. So if you want to check it out, you can do the same. You can find it out. So yes, you should always mention the data period under study. Number one, when you looked at the data, what did you find? What was the actual problem you saw? when you looked at the data, what was the actual problem? Well, the cost of operations was, uh, say, roughly say 65,000 per month. That's what we saw. What was the actual problem? Whatever, maybe they say quality was less, whatever, actual problem in last 4 months that you might have looked at from Jan to April. Now, this based on this actual problem, what is it leading to? What, so if you have cost of operation at 65,000 or quality 70%, what does it, why does it bother you? Bottom line, what does it lead to? So because of which our profit margins have have dropped from, say, earlier we had, say, 45% profit to, say, now we have only 32%, whatever profit. This is what our profit margins have dropped significantly because the cost of operations has increased significantly. Now, this is what is happening because of the real time problem what we see in last 4 months. What it could further lead to, if it continues, what could it could further lead to? So what we can say that, like, a, say, generally companies have some contractual obligation when you sign a contract with a company. So there could be a penalty clause. If there is a penalty clause, you must mention that if you're not, like, if you're dealing with a company because of not meeting the service level agreement, so there could be penalty clause. Say there is a $10,000 penalty for not meeting the uh, client uh, agreed service level agreement. Say, what does it further lead to? Market share reduction, which we have seen that is already gone down, say, from 43% to, say, 29%, whatever. How are you getting these values? From the process owners, from the finance team, and all those people are sharing all these details. What else we could have probably suffered because of this, or we have seen the trend already. We have already seen, say, there's a penalty we already paid based on this actual problem. So what else we could have probably suffered because of this, or we have seen the trend already. We have already seen, say, there's a penalty we already paid based on this actual problem. So what else we could have probably suffered because of
Hello.
this?
So did I get
Sir,
disconnected?
sir, we lost you.
Yeah.
We lost him.
I think we lost him.
Hmm. So are you okay, guys?
Yeah, very good.
I
It's
came in
kind of.
very late. It's Shirley from South Africa.
Ah, really? You're from South Africa?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I'm Shai from Manila, Philippines.
Wow. Technology.
Yeah, see the
Proud of it.
technology.
How's everyone?
Very good. How's the COVID there? Is it being,
Oh, we are
how are
on
you
the
there?
we are on the third wave now. So
Is it
it's
is it
starting.
being controlled?
We are on a phase 2 of vaccination, like the health workers done phase 1.
I'm sorry, I just got kicked out from the session. Just
Yes,
bear with me.
sir.
Sorry, Tashi,
I'm
fine.
sorry. I just give me one quick moment. Let me just, I guess the, okay. So Shama, you are the host now. Is it, can you just right click on my name and make me the host again?
Yes, sir. Sure. So I am the
So please
host.
do that. Yeah, no, you, the moment I got disconnected, you by default became the host.
Ah, okay.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you. Now, I don't know where did I like, because I was continually talking, and then I realized, well, it was showing up. So now, quickly moving on. So we were talking about uh, a whatever you have seen as a problem. What you have seen, like, based on the time period you have studied. Say we have seen our profit margins have gone down. What it has led to, probably there's a penalty clause. Based on the penalty clause, we already paid some penalty. Our market share has reduced. Probably our client has like reduced our rating. So probably they are rating, probably they have been giving a rating from say excellent to poor category. So they sort of dropped the rating standards. So because of which are getting lesser market share, whatever. So this information can be provided by the core P team, which is wherever you're working. Say it's operations team or finance team, wherever we are doing a project, they will be able to share the insights, plus the finance team will definitely be able to share these insights. Now, if bottom line, if it continues at the same rate, show them basically here, show a bigger picture. Always emphasize on a annualized basis, because every rejections is done on an annualized basis. If it continues the same rate, what you would end up paying on an annualized basis, like with the penalty or reduction in market share, drop in your profit margins, what would it lead to? All facts, numbers, which will see, if you just say my quality is not good, it doesn't make sense to the management. We'll tell them there will be a loss that you have to bear for $50,000. Now it does make sense to them. Money is the language your management will understand. So it's always important. It's always important. So remember this thing, try and always see quality, production, whatever you may be talking about, whatever may be the problem, always try to find money relation with problem, because that's a language they understand. Now, once you've done this, pretty much read your problem statement. Read your problem statement carefully, because unfortunately, the biggest mistake, never do this. That's what you're going to keep it separately. Never do this. What? Suggest never. So never suggest a possible cause or solution. Never ever do that, because if you tell this that we are, because the cost of operation is very high because of this problem and this sorry, you would never get a project for that. You telling them the problem, see, bottom line, if you know the problem, you would not be doing a project. The reason why you're doing a project, because you have tried, tested, exhausted all possible efforts, and then pretty much you've not been able to solve it, and that's why you're doing a project. So if you know the problem, there's no fun in doing the project. The problem I understand, but what's causing it? No, don't speculate. We have already done, see, and that's what you will be billing your clients for. You need a project. If a management knows that you know the solution, you know a possible cause, they would expect you to solve it without a project. As a consultant, practically that's my bread and butter. There's no free lunch. So bottom line, even if I know the problem the day one, what is causing the problem, the root causes, I am not going to share that. So never do this. Never mention a possible cause. Yeah, I may tell that I'm like, it's like I have a like very severe stomach ache. I'm dying. I might die. I might explain. I can explain what this pain is. It feels like, but I won't tell why this pain is happening, because I don't know. It could be ulcer. It could be some other reason. I don't know. If I knew, pretty much I would have solved it. So you can explain the actual problem, yes. You can explain what it is leading to, the repercussions, but not why is that happening. If you know it, never mention it. Bottom line, that's not supposed to be done. So this is where a lot of people, when they're explaining, they end up over explaining themselves, and they get into the trap of not getting a project because you suggested a possible cause. If you know the problem, you will always have a solution. The reason why we're doing a Six Sigma project is because we don't have an idea as to what is the real problem. There could be multiple problems, which I don't like. I don't know which one to solve. That's why we are dealing with a Six Sigma project here. Moving on to goal statement. Now, goal statement, a lot of people must have already heard. It must be a SMART statement. Now, SMART, A, R, and T. So specific, measurable, whatever, attainable, relevant, and time bound. That's what is my basic definition of this acronym. Specific, I will be talking about like I'll improve. So I'm going to write down a goal statement. Let's tally it whether it's a SMART statement or not. To improve profit percentage from say 34% to say 65% by say 31st July 2021. That is all. Honestly, if I write anything more than this, I'm inviting trouble. That's what it is. It's always go the logic of KISS. Keep it short and simple. Don't explain the goal statements. Never do that. The more you explain, the more problems you'll have, and we'll talk about it right away. First of all, let's understand, is it a smart statement? Specific? Yeah, I'm very specific, 34 to 65%. Is it measurable? Yes, I can measure like in the profit, how is my profit working. Attainable? Yes, we have been doing 65%. Is it that we have dropped? So I'm not saying we'll make 100% profit. No, no. I'm talking about something which my competitors are doing. I was doing it. I'm like something has gone wrong. So yes, it's attainable. We have been doing it, or it's possible. I'm not telling you like we'll have 80% profit or 100%, 90% profit. No, unrealistic. No, it's attainable. We know it's possible. Relevant. While I'm talking about profit, I'm not explaining anything. Just talking about profit. Being very relevant, because that's where we make the biggest blunder here. We try to make explanations, and I'll talk about what could be a wrong one when we don't remain relevant with the problem. And time bound, yes, it has a specific timeline. So simple as that. This is a smart statement. Like what would be a bad goal statement? To improve profit percentage from say 34% to 65% by 31st July 2021, which will help us regain the market share and customer uh, ratings. Whatever, the customers have dropped their ratings also. Well, bottom line, you're talking about three different projects here in this statement. You talk about profit, you talk about market share, and you talk about customer rating. Is your project about improving profit, or is your project about market share? Is your project about customer rating? No, my project is not about these. My project is only about profit. If you want to do a project to increase your market share, yes, that's a secondary project. If you want to do a project to improve the customer rating, yes, that's another project. Bottom line, one project at a time, like we'll deal with one problem. You can't be getting to well, because of what I do, which will improve my profits. Yes, if I happen to get an increase in market share, yes, definitely I'll take the credit for that. If my customer, because of my project, if customer ratings improve, yes, I'll take the credit for that. I will not make it an accountability here, because my project was never being, say if I improve quality, my project would have been like to improve quality from say 70% to 90%. But will improving quality help us regain the market share? Yes, it should. But if it doesn't, then your project will fail. It should, because customer will be happy, they'll give you more market share, but that was never my project. But if I write it, then I will be accountable for increasing market share also. What if you increase the quality and the customer still keeps you in the low rating? Well, unfortunately, that was never a project. Yes, you want me to do a project to improve the customer rating, I'll do a specific project which will say to improve the customer rating. Bottom line, never over explain yourself. Keep it short and simple. That's the goal statement we deal with. Moving on to scope. Now, scope is very important. Technically, everything is important here. We have two scope. One is inbound, in scope. Another is out of scope. In scope means what you will cover in the project and what you will not cover in the project. Now, it's very important to define clear boundaries of the project. Well, when I was talking about this profit sort of thing, say we have business, this business is working at three different locations. We have Dubai, we have got New York, and we have got London. Say we've got three different locations where my business has three different locations. I am working out of Dubai. That's my location. And I want to do a project which is for this location and same client. Say there's a client ABC which is worked out of all the 3 locations. I am located only at Dubai location. When I'm doing a project and my project statement says to improve profits from so and so, we are talking about all the locations. It must specify, well, profit percentage for Dubai location for ABC client. If you don't mention, then the expectation is that you're talking about the entire ABC client for all the location. What would you not cover? Say profit percentage for New York and say whatever this location, my bad. This was London, New York and London, and other metrics for other clients, including ABC. So we are not covering any other metric for ABC client. We're just looking at profit percentage. So profit for New York and London are not covered. Other metrics for other clients, including ABC, is not covered. Bottom line, we're only looking at, so it should be crystal clear that there should be no ambiguity as I expected something, I wanted to convey something, you understood something. We would not want those last minute, like when we've done with the project, people coming and claiming that, no, you were not clear in your communication. So it's very, very clear to define the boundaries of the project. A lot of projects fail. So we talk about later on, we'll talk about something called triple constraint. If you pick up a project management syllabus or like book, it will talk about triple constraints, which is called triple constraints are, so here, so let me just write it here, triple constraints. So not with respect to Six Sigma project, any project. A project management rule says projects fail because of triple constraints. What are the triple constraints? Cost, scope, and time. If you're not able to control these three, your projects fail. Majority of the projects technically fail because of these triple constraints. If you're not able to manage your cost well, your projects will fail. If you're not able to manage your scope, your projects will fail. You're not able to manage your time, your projects will fail. So bottom line, these are 3 important things which you need to manage in a project. And that's why we want to make sure that scope part of it is very, very clearly articulated. There should be no ambiguity about the understanding level of the project, like what will be covered in the project or not. Team, we haven't started the project. We are tentatively trying to seek an approval. So right now you don't have the team. So you may tentative resource estimation, like how many people, 7 people, 10 people, tentative, which will get elaborated once we get the project. So we'll talk about that because that's still going to come in here. Team selection, that's where we'll talk about it. So bottom line, it will get clear, it will come, but right now we have tentative resource requirement we will be mentioning. Now milestones is something where we say these are also known as toll gates. Milestones are also known as toll gates, phase gates, kill points, kill gates, review. Bottom line, what do you call this? These are management review checkpoints, or you can say checkpoints also. These are various stages where you want to check the progress of the project. Who does this review? Champion. So champion will be reviewing. Champion will review project at these stages. So how do we do it? Like it's basically you mention a tentative timeline, define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And you have your start dates and end dates. Start date, end date. So whatever task, start date, end date. So we want to, when define will start, when it will end, when measure will start, when it will end, analyze state, start date, end date, and so on and so forth. So we'll give the like a flow of the project tentatively, how long will it take. So this is the initial preliminary discussion that we do, and we submit a project charter with the management. Let's just quickly go back to the chart, I guess. No, there's no standard timeline. It depends on the project to project, because it depends on the complexity of the project. How big is the project? How like how many departments are involved? So you'll be more of like based on discussion. You'll be able to understand what all activities. So it is going to link with one of the activities which we'll do next. Like when you talk about that, because see, how do you get the times? Because you know for sure how long does it take if you know all the activities. So we have something called here we'll be talking about RACI. This is roles and responsibility delegation. So this is something related to that. We get to know how many, what all things will be done. So you have a clarity of it. But initially, you get a tentative like timeline updated based on the in discussion and interpretation. But like just on a vague like tentatively more like we talk about most of the green belt or black belt projects would like in a like this is tentative, not true for every project, but tentatively a defined phase would take somewhere around 10 to 10 days, 7 to 10 days in general, most of the time. Measure phase could take nothing less than like 15 to it could be even 30 days easily, because measure phase data collection takes a lot of time. Analyze phase could take about 7 to 10 days. Again, it won't be a long. Improve phase could depend on how big is the improvement, so can't quantify it technically. It could take 30 days easily, 30 days to say 45 days or 60 days easily. And whatever you have spent in your improve phase, you must control the process for those many days. So more like I would say tentative timeline, but we will be initially sort of giving a project basically evolves over a period of time. So it's iterative and like progressively elaborated. When we talk about definition of projects are uh, progressively elaborated. So things get clear, timelines gets clear as the project increase that goes ahead. So it's a live document. So we keep updating it. That's why you have those review dates. So at whatever you must have defined and understood, we'll have a review at the end of define phase with a champion. We'll tell them this is what we planned, this is where we have reached, whatever the challenges we faced, what could have been done better. Bottom line, that's the review phase. It's more of the time where you try to share your challenges, because it's in the best interest of the champion that your project is successful. Ultimately, champion is the one who will answer to the management. The champion will try to extend the support and will try to understand in what ways the champion can help. Why was there a delay in completing the timeline? Bottom line, that's the time we kind of revisit, revise the timelines and all that stuff. Yes, but it keeps getting had, and at the end of every phase there'll be a review done. So this is how your project charter per se is completed. Now, are we clear about this project charter? If in case we will be then taking a break, because I guess uh, in case we are okay with it. If anyone has any other question, any questions?
Can I ask?
Yeah, please. If you have any
Okay.
questions.
Okay, so in terms of constraints and assumptions, is it necessary to be in a charter?
Uh, in terms of constraints.
Yeah, like what you could, like your risk constraints. Is it necessary or not?
Yeah, so see, basically, when we talk about the initial preliminary approval, we will be talking about the like when we talk about constraints. If I have understood it correctly, we'll be talking about all those risks and challenges will be covered. Initially, we just trying to get an approval around uh, the urgency of the problem. You can mention like, so there could be different templates which are there, like people sort of again, there's no formal template for project charter, more like this will be the core element. Yes, different people elaborate add other elements to the project charter. You can definitely add in constraints as a part of your the discussion thing, what could be the challenges. That's what gets discussed when we talk about those management reviews. The constraints, the challenges that you're facing, will be discussed with the stakeholders, with the champion. You can maintain a document, but initially when you're trying to just seek an approval right now, if they are okay and convinced with what we are stating that there's a big concern, we have quantified it, we told them that what is that we will be able to improve for them, what area will be covered, how many people will be taken care of, and what will be the more like timeline. Again, a ballpark, but yes, once the team is allocated, you'll have uh, the activities discussed with the team. That's when things will get elaborated and clarified as we move forward. And
No.
these templates will take care of a lot of such things, because we do have constraints within the project. The challenges are there, and we maintain that log, and so that this can be discussed during the project review. If in case there's something which is more critical, which needs to be addressed right then and there, then we always loop in the champion, and that will be part of our communication plan. We'll come to that. Like, so that these, all those ifs and buts have the tools which will cover up for them. Does it answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, I'm okay.
Okay, okay. What is the most critical part of DMAIC in accomplishing a project? See, on getting a project, first of all, the define phase is very critical, because it is important to convince the management. So once you get the project approved, that's the first thing. So getting a project is the most critical part. You got your management convinced, job done. That is fine. But assuming that you have got the project and management is already ready to invest, the most critical part is measure phase. Measure phase is the base, is the foundation where your project is going to be baselined. Data is going to get collected, because Six Sigma project is all about data. If data is incorrect, then your project will be incorrect. You will be going in a wrong direction. The most critical part is your measure phase, any given day. Is it okay? Yes, please, please share. You have a question, Aro?
Uh, During this project charter, we have to select the team, right?
Yeah,
So
we will be selecting team.
in this project charter, do we need to mention this the time allocation for the team also? Maybe.
So that will be discussed here. We have just talked about till project submission. Project is submitted, management will approve. That's when we come back from the week, we'll be talking about that how team is selected. Then these allocation, the work allocation is going to be done here. The roles and responsibility decided. The activities will be decided. We'll look into the template how we work that out. So that is going to happen now. First, you need an approval. Based on approval, now once your project is approved, that's when your management will sort of like you need people. You can't do the project alone. So you need people. So team will be allocated now, because team is available. You need to redefine like everything, what everyone is supposed to do, what will be the risk constraints in the project, how the communications will be managed. This sort of, once you complete this, that's when we're ready to mark the define as closed and start with the measure phase. But before that, we'll go for a management review. We'll tell them this is define is over. They'll review the management, the defined work. They'll understand what is the planning for the measure phase, and then you move forward with the measure phase. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks. So because there are no more questions here, let's do one thing. As per your time zone, please take 20 minutes break. Let's connect after 20 minutes. So as per Indian Standard Time, like it's almost like 4 or 5. So Indian Standard Time, we'll be meeting at 4:25. Like in as per your respective time zone, please let's connect again. 20 minutes from now. Are we back from the break? In case you're back, please confirm. We do have a minute, but yes, it'll be good to know in case we're back. All right, thank you. Thanks a lot. Perfect. Right, so just a minute, we shall get started. Yeah. All right. So now, before going on the break, we discussed about the project charter. So with respect to project charter, a quick, like I would like to reiterate once again that do go to this slideshare.net and review few project charters. It will be very meaningful to kind of go through few sample projects. You will have an idea how a project charter is written. Other than that, when you downloaded the files, if you would be able to see this in the training material, did you have the slides. Within the slide, there's one project charter which is already here. Just for reference, another project charter would be always here when you must have downloaded the data for simulation project, a sample project is another project charter which will be here. So just to get an idea about how project charters look like, how people articulate the project charter. So do go through this so that it helps you to ensure that you can start writing. I'm sure everyone will do a great job in writing a project charter, but this is good to remember those points, what we got to keep in mind while writing a project charter, like going to that file for in the define phase when you have this Word document will help us understand what are the points we got to keep in mind. Plus, we have kind of listed all those points which we got to keep in mind. So, keeping all these aspects in mind, uh, I just request you to just try and practice some at your end. Practice some project charters. Just get into the habit of writing a project charter. So pick up any hypothetical problem that you want to improve the quality, you want to improve the production, sales, marketing, whatever problem. Pick up a problem and then try try to draft so that you know uh, how it's done. Bottom line is just about once you've done it, it's no brainer after that. So it's a first time, yes, because you need to get accustomed to the template. That's it, nothing else. It's a simple one, everyone can write it, but yes, just do it once so that you do not find it like a new thing to learn when you are doing it in real world. Now when you've submitted your project charter, what you need to do is there any audio? Well, Michael, I hope you're able to hear me. uh, I guess everyone is able to hear me clearly. Yes, Michael, probably could be like temporary glitch at your end. So
Can hear you clearly.
it could be temporary glitch at Michael's end, probably. Right. So basically, when we submit the project charter, the management would review your project charter. If it's convincing, they would approve it. If it's not, then you will be declined. Like the project will be denied, or else they might seek for some clarity, which is bad. Technically, we would not want to get into a back and forth email with the client, so with the management. It's good to get a straightforward approval. And the best way is to make sure that you've answered the questions, what they might ask for. So, yes, keep those pointers in mind. There will be nothing left which management can further drill down. So, it's important to keep those pointers in mind while writing a project charter. Once the project charter is approved, a final like a official approval is shared uh, by the help of like this kickoff meeting. generally call this as a kickoff meeting. In that, project is formally approved and you're like informed that your project is selected. We'll be doing a project on that. Now is the time for you to select the team. So basically, you along with the core process experts, the process owner, depending on what area you will be working on. If you're doing HR project, then HR related people. If it's operations project, then operations related people. So relevant people will be picked up in the project. Generally what happens, you get nominations from different departments who have done Six Sigma project or who have an idea of doing a project. Generally head of departments from various departments may recommend their best people to participate in the project. We can't include everyone, so GRPA method is generally used for selecting a team. G stands for goal, R for roles, P for process, and I for interpersonnel. So these are four metrics or on which we select a team member. And say different people have been nominated. So team member 1, 2, and 3, 4. So multiple team members have been nominated, and say we got 10 people, out of which we have to select few. So how do you select them? Generally, what will happen uh, post the nominations are received, you call for a meeting. You call for a meeting, and then these people will be briefed about the project. A project brief is given that we are going to do a project which is about quality. We would like to improve the quality. So whatever you mentioned in the project charter, you sort of give them a brief that we have a contractual agreement with the client that we must maintain this percentage of quality. We're not doing that for quite some time. We're being paying penalty and all that stuff. You give the project brief. You explain what this project goal is. So you explain to the entire team that what is the goal of the project. You would explain them what will be the expected roles of different people within the project, what is expected out of them, what area, what process it will be working on, what area will be kind of the scope of the project, what will be the area, what is that will be the target within that, and all that stuff. And then interpersonal is how they are interacting with each other, respecting each other's opinion or not. So we will have a group discussion post that briefing, just to uh, brainstorm and find out what is the possible suggestions they have, what is that can be done, and all that stuff. So people will discuss post a brief. Information is shared with them. We'll let them discuss, and while they are discussing and having this group discussion, the champion, the head of the technical, who's head of the department, some of the key people like general manager and all within the department, along with a black belt, along with a sponsor, will be more likely involved in gauging them and checking them on these different parameters. So I am randomly putting some values here on a scale of say 1 to 5, 1 being the worst candidate and 5 is the best quality. So I'm randomly putting some numbers. So we would have we would have heard their discussion. During the discussion, we would have tried to understand what everyone is doing and what everyone is saying. So I have randomly added some numbers. So unanimously we rated this guy on the goal aspect. During the discussion, how clear this guy was on the goal. So we rated this person as 2 out of 5, then 2 out of 5, 4 out of 5, so on and so forth. On the During the discussion, when we looked at the clarity about the thought on the role part of it, we gave the rating. Similarly, in the process where the process it will be implemented, we had certain ratings shared there. And similarly, the interpersonal skills, how well they are interacting with each other. If I don't agree with your opinion, do I what is the way I react to it? It's very important. See, technically, I don't need a brilliant guy. I need a team member who can work with the team. The culture of the team is more important. I don't need one-time brilliance. I don't want the one guy who's brilliant but will spoil the team culture. No, I don't want that. I need people who have rational thought process, who respect each other's opinion, who are ready to work as a team. So primarily we uh, like, so there's one way of doing it is you can take an average here. So you can take the average rating and you will know who is the best on these parameters. So this is one way of doing it. So whosoever has got highest rating will be the one who will be preferred in this case, like number of people that you need to select. You can go in a descending order, but keeping in mind that it's a team based stuff. I can teach you about goals later on also. I can train you on the role part of it. I can explain you how the process works, because it's quite possible people might have come from different department who may not have the process knowledge. It's fine. These three things I can teach you, but this is the character of the person. If I don't agree with your suggestion, I may say, no, well, you're wrong. That's rude. Well, I can say the same thing in a different way, much polished way, because I don't want to hurt somebody's opinion. Everyone is smart, everyone has a different way of looking at it. We must respect that as a team. So for me, the most critical aspect is this interpersonal skills. I would rather give weightage on this rather than giving equal weightage to everything. I would give a higher ratage on this aspect. So I would rather this. You can do any which ways. You can just take an average like this. What I would generally do is give a 20% weightage on each of these parameters. So 20, 20, 20, and this alone would be say 40. Like, you can decide how do you feel about it. These are tools. You customize them the way you want. So I would give a 20% weightage on this. I would get a 20% weightage on these each, and this will alone have a high weightage because put more emphasis on the character, because ultimately these people need to work together as a team. So I can get this done, like say this multiplied by the 20%, which is, I'll freeze this cells. This is 20% of all the values which you got, 20% of it, everything is 20% of it. We only taken 20% of what the values were. Here, I will take 40% of this value, which is interpersonal skills. So 40%, this rating multiplied by 40%. I'll give maximum weightage to this one. Now you want to take an average, you want to take a sum, whatever you want to do it, or you can take it. I would give, or you want to change the rating, make it 60% there. Well, fine. You decide. You're the judge, you're the boss, you decide what works best for you. I would rather go by this logic, by giving a weightage and then selecting the candidate based on the weightage. Because it's quite possible people may not have absolute clarity of thought about process. Different people can come from different departments. With a brief discussion, I may not still have got clarity about roles and goal of the project. I can teach you all this. This is what I can't teach. You have a character. That's how it is. It's good or bad. I may be fine, like somebody who scores very less here. So well, look at this. This guy is not clear about the goals of the project. He's sort of very, very clear about the role. Probably he works within the department, has excellent process knowledge, but is not ready to listen to anyone. For me, the guy is bad. I would not take any like sort of, this is bad for me. I would rather, this is where I would give more emphasis on a higher interpersonal skills where we are able to respect. I may not agree with you, but I can say the same thing. Well, I completely buy your point. You have a different, definitely a good like point of view. But can we try out this thing in a different way, like this, so you can say the same thing in a much polished way? You need a team technically, so you can select the team number of people that you need for the project. But again, that's how the method works when we talk about GRPI method. Now, anyone has any question on GRPI can definitely pitch in. Is it okay with everyone?
Fine.
All right. So I'll just move ahead with the second topic, which is here, which is communication plan. Now, once you've got your team identified, you know these are the people who will be working with you on the project. Now, I'm not going to do the project alone. It's going to be the entire team which will be working together to get the project completed. I need to manage communications. It's one of the most critical aspect of a project, because people, when you talk about the real world situations, people will keep coming back to you and saying, well, do this thing, do that thing, what's happening on that report. People will keep giving you ad hoc requests. Unfortunately, we do not have the provision of catering to ad hoc requests in a project. Every person is planned, budgeted, time is allocated. We cannot do ad hoc work. So it has to be clearly articulated what will be done, who will do it, and we go by a plan. Project management is all about planning. Ad hoc stuff cannot be done. So what we do is we set up a communication plan for every possible communication. Managing all communication will be done by communication plan. Like what all communication? Say like this is, say, communication that we need to do. Uh, who will be the audience? So technically, who will be required uh, for this communication, or who will be the recipient of this communication? Uh, we will have the media or the method of doing the communication, who will be doing the communication, the backup person for that communication, the frequency of the communication, and if you want to add something, please do add. If you feel something needs to be added, there's no end to it. As a team, we all sitting together, all the respective people who have been shortlisted along with all the relevant people, we sort of discuss, brainstorm, and create a list of possible communication which we need to carry out in the entire project. Now, what kind of communications? Like the written communication. I may need some daily reports. I may need weekly reports. I may need, say, monthly reports. I may need, say, quarterly reports. This is uh, probably some reports which I'll need. Say, project progress report also. Some, whatever you can think of. As a team, we'll brainstorm and we'll think about all possible communications which are required during the project. We'll list them down here. Uh, Say we're done with the reports part of it. What all communications will be required? Probably I will need some meetings will be required. So daily meetings, so say pre-shift meetings. So before uh, the shift starts, post-shift meeting. So after the, probably some weekly team meetings. I would require, say, monthly meetings. Uh, I need feedback sessions, some sort of sessions, like some sort of meetings, which will be required during the entire project part. We would definitely need to kind of plan for those communications. There will be communication required for all these at some point in time. Yes, we would require them. Uh, Say we need a one feedback sessions, we have already covered. Let's pick up some more stuff, like say new requirements. If there's some new, something new is required, new resource, new product, new software, new laptop, any new requirement, complaints, uh, leave requests, anything for which there is a communication required, including your milestones, like your toll gate reviews. When you are going to have a management review done, that's also communication. So any communication that you need to do in the entire project, you will list them down here. And so have a brainstorming session with your team, let them plan out, you list them down, all of it. Audience. Now, who will be required to get this daily report? Do you want to spam your CEO's mailbox with daily reports? No, probably not. So I'll sort of define the audience, recipient, probably the manager, say the green belt, the black belt. Only we will keep it. Weekly reports, we probably want to keep it as it is. Plus, we would like to include the champion. Monthly reports, we may probably include the, we will definitely include the sponsor also. As a team, we'll sit down, plan for all possible stakeholders who needs to be included in this communication, so we don't have a problem later on in terms of managing the expectation of these people. Quarterly reports, definitely all of it will be required. Project progress report will sort of go to the champion, your the black belt definitely, and the sponsor. You will have this covered. Pre-shift meeting. Who do you need? Say team members. You need, because they, before the shift, You need, say, some supervisor within the project who's going to work, the manager, and say black belt. So every team meeting, you need them. So forget about this. Get a green belt here. Anyone who's a green belt, there's nothing wrong or right. You decide what works best for you. You will be able to allocate the team members accordingly. So post shift, pre shift, weekly team meetings, we would definitely include somebody else also, which could be the champion, could be involved, could be in this activity. Monthly team meetings, definitely yes, all of it. Feedback sessions, who would be doing it? Well, the manager would be involved in the feedback sessions. If there is any feedback supposed to be given, manager can be, respective manager can be allocated. New requirements, it will be routed to the manager as well as the black belt. Uh, Complaints, the manager. Uh, Keep this person aside, manager. For leave request, toll git review, you'll have a champion who will be part of it. So bottom line, you define who will be the audience for every activity. It's not open for all. For example, there's a financial report. You don't want to send your financial report to everyone in the organization. It has to be for specific audience. You will keep specific activities. So uh, later on, there should be no confusion as to who was supposed to get this. I didn't get this report. I was not invited for this meeting. Well, no, bottom line, we discussed in the beginning, and that's what we follow as it is. Media, daily reports, it'll be an email, email. Bottom line, these are all email based. Pre-shift meeting, it'll be a physical meeting that will be happening. So we will be having like a group discussion. So we'll have a group discussion, group discussion. Uh, we will, before weekly meeting, we'll have an email followed by a group discussion so that the agenda is clear. Uh, Email followed by group discussion. So we'll keep it. We'll just make sure that this is people are clear before they come for the meeting. What is the agenda? They would have already looked into it. And similarly, say feedback, you probably want to send an email. Somebody wants to, and then followed by a one-on-one meeting. So pretty much you would be covering up every activity, how that activity needs to be done, like complaint first, write down, send out an email, followed. So you know the agenda. We don't want to waste time there. Uh, who will be doing it? So you'll got to define the responsibilities to different people. Who will send the daily report? Say some supervisor has been given weekly report, same the supervisor. Monthly report, say some. So this was say supervisor one. This was supervisor one, and say this is supervisor two, whatever. Like we have give the responsibilities, have the backup people cover up for them, who will be the backup. So you know this guy is not hasn't come because it was not well. Bottom line, you know who is going to be taking care of. Last minute, we will not be looking for resources. We already allocated who will be doing it and who will be the backup in case of absence or leave or whatever. Now, the most critical part here is the frequency. Now, frequency, at what frequency you need the reports? Daily reports, well, then daily by say 9 a.m. I should get this report. Weekly report, well, I should get it by 1 p.m. Say, for example, 1 p.m. But what day? Weekly, you want to wait all day? No, say Wednesday. Every Wednesday, the report will be published. So don't come back on Tuesday asking for a report. It's going to come out Wednesday and by 1 p.m. Monthly reports. So we can talk about, say, every, like, say, 10 a.m. in the morning, and say if it's you can have a specific day or date, or like say last Thursday, or you can say last Thursday of every month, a monthly report, or probably you want to give a date. Quarterly reports, you can similarly define a timeline. Pre-shift meeting, say like 8:50 is when you want to have a pre-shift meeting, where so some meeting room one, some meeting room one needs to be blocked as per your meeting calendar, so people know where to come for the meeting. The last minute, no confusions. This is probably when we're getting over with the shift. Say 5 o'clock is when we are getting over with the shift. Say giving a basic weekly meeting. Well, so this is going to happen every, say, Tuesday where it's going to happen, say meeting room 2, and say what time. It's like 3 p.m. So no confusion. Please block your calendars accordingly. Nobody is going to give you a special invite because we don't have that kind of bandwidth to take care of everyone's request. So yes, please block your calendar, block the rooms, so we have no last minute confusion. So bottom line, this is how we prepare the communication plan. It's prepared by the team. We sit together, we plan together. This is what we'll be covering up in the entire project. Bottom line, we do not want to do any kind of ad hoc activities. Now, once communication plan is finalized, it's freezed. No changes. When I say no addition, deletion, or modification can be done unless there is proper change management protocol followed. Now, what is this change management protocol? Proper formal approval. Well, you want me to publish this weekly report. You are asking for this report on Tuesday. Well, if you need an extra report on Tuesday, please be my guest. Get me an approval, and I'll be more than happy to get this report published for you on Tuesday, because then the management go and convince the management, when we're publishing this report every Wednesday, why you need an extra report on Tuesday. And if you're able to convince them, don't have a problem. I'll get extra resource, time, money. I'll be more than happy to publish that. But for now, whatever is there, it is as it is. So unless until there's a proper formal written approval, this is still incomplete. Formal written approval, not even verbal, proper formal written approval, no changes can be done to the communication plan. That's how we got to keep basic fundamental in mind, like of communication plan. Is that okay with everyone? Communication plan, simple templates, but yes, we got to keep basic fundamentals in place. All right, let's move ahead with the next one, which is RACI or RASIC. Now, people coming from project management background would definitely recall this RACI or RASIC for now. Why? Because it is the basic essence. Like, it's the difference between a leader and a manager is the leader does it himself, and the manager gets it done. So as Six Sigma professionals, we are managers. We are not the one who will do anything. We probably in the entire organization, the only person who should be seen idle doing nothing is the manager. A manager who does anything is not a good manager, because that goes against the definition of the title the person is going with. Manager, you got to lead by managing it, not by doing it. So this template or the method is used to allocate roles and responsibilities. Now, there's a template within the folder here. We already have a template of RASIC. We already have it. I will talk about this, but let's quickly understand what does it mean. So if we go by RACI model, if we go by like a proper PMP syllabus, it will talk about RACI. Six Sigma people use RASIC, generally use RASIC. So meaning we aren't losing anything. So this is responsible, accountable, or whatever, consulted, and informed. This is in Six Sigma world, we say responsible, approver, support, inform, and consult. There isn't any change. Responsible is responsible, accountable is approver, consulted is consult, informed is inform. You have an extra S in the RASIC model. That's it. There's no other difference in these two models. We prefer RASIC because it gives more clarity than the RACI model. Let's understand what is the purpose of this, what is the meaning of these roles. But before we do that, let's understand the template and lay down the steps, what needs to be done. So when you got your team, you've done your communication plan, pretty much what you need to do, number one, list down all the activities in the project from beginning till end, all the activities. Number two, break down activities into tasks. Keep breaking it down till it it cannot be further broken down. In project management, we call these tasks as work package. Its smallest unit of task which cannot be further broken down. This is the smallest unit of task, and that's what we make WBS. WBS is work breakdown structure. We're creating a long list. So first we discuss with the team, brainstorm, we list them all the activities from beginning till end. We break them down till we get down to tasks. So activities are broken down into tasks. Every person needs to, some task needs to be completed to complete an activity. So we list them down. Let's quickly go back to the chart here. Yeah, it is preparing a Gantt chart from this one. Yes, it is going to prepare a further Gantt chart out of it. So we'll have a look at this template. So define phase, there's some task which needs to be completed. Measure phase, some task needs to be completed. All the phases will have some task needs to be completed. So this is like, we have just kind of listed 1, 2, 3. You'll have to write it down, like creating a survey form, circulating a survey form, compiling a survey form, taking like all that stuff. You'll have all the list. So for what my first activity could be, for example, so I have to collect voice of customer. So in a broad way, collect voice of customer. That's what we need to do. What is that we will do to collect voice of customer? We'll do survey. We will do, say, mystery shopping. We will be doing a personal interviews with the customers. Say these are 3 methods we have decided. Now these are still activities, surveys. How we will further break it down? It will be create survey form, distribute survey form, conduct survey, compile results, publish result. Absolutely break it down. Similarly, mystery shopping. So first, write down major category, break it down, then create task. These are single tasks, absolutely single task. So when you do this, you'll have a long list. A real RASIC will run into multiple pages. Like it's a small one, but like it's just a template to give an idea. So you give a long list of all those tasks. That's when you've done it. Now what do? You start with giving responsibilities. First thing first. Number 3, we look at the task and decide what skills are required. Then based on the skills required, we assign the best person in the team who can deliver the task. So we look at the task, understand what are the skills required for it, who is the best person. So creating a survey form, as we probably somebody who has already done it. So our quality guys have been doing it consistently. They've been doing a lot of surveys. So pretty much we can have the quality guy. So quality person can do it. Distribution, they can look into it, because conducting the survey, compile, they've been doing it. So this guy can look into all this stuff, quality related, like this survey related. Mystery shopping will have different. So all activities, look at the task and we decide what are the skills required. And then accordingly, we choose the best person. When you choose the best person, this person is called responsible, which is R. Responsible is the best person who can complete the task based on the skills, because this guy has the skills of completing the task. Thumb rule, only one responsible is allowed per task. You cannot have two people responsible for same task. Otherwise, you would think that I will do it and I'll think you will do it. It will never be done. One responsible per task is allowed, and every task must have a responsible. So you'll never have a task where there is no responsible. It is mandatory. Every task must have a responsible party. So every task you will be giving a responsible. So in this template, here are the tasks. Here's the list of people who are in the project team, the sponsor, champion, black belt, green belt, violet, all those people. So you'll have a long list, all the people. So give the responsibilities to people, give RRR responsibilities based on the task. Now, once you've done it, pretty much you know which person will be completing every task. Next, we then decide who will check and verify if job done by responsible is correct or not. Then we decide basically the approver. Approver is A. Again, generally somebody higher in management. So you'll generally be somebody higher in management will be the approver who will check and verify job done correctly. Yes, responsible says completed. Well, I have verified, I have seen it, it's all good. Only again, only one approver is allowed per task. Every task must have a approver. It's mandatory. And you don't want to have too many approvers. It's always said too many cooks spoil the broth. Having two bosses at the same time reporting to two bosses is a nightmare. One says you're right, another says you're wrong, and you are done. Bottom line, somebody will get offended and you will have a problem. So we do not want that in a project. So one person does it, one person checks it. R A. So we understand who does it, who verifies it. Bottom line, my RASIC is completed. Honestly, it's completed because I need to know who will do it and who will verify it. These are mandatory. Coming to SIC. For all activities, when it's plotted, my job is done. Then support, inform, and consult is not mandatory. It will be demanded by the responsible depending on the task. If support is required, responsible can be allotted one or more support, but responsibility still lies with R. Responsibility doesn't change. Well, you want me to help you conduct the survey? Yes, I can help you conduct the survey. I can help you compile the results. You need some people. Well, people can be allotted to you for helping you, but responsibility is not going to change. Your responsibility will still be there. People can be allocated. If I understand, alone it may not be possible. So you can be given support to help you complete this task. Inform is need basis. If someone needs to be kept in loop, then choose inform. Like some activity that you're doing and you want to keep somebody in the loop that this guy needs to inform, whatever. So you mark I, multiple I's can be there. You want to, it's like marking a CC in an email. You don't mark copy to everyone. You mark copy to someone whom you want to inform about what is happening. So yes, if a task is important, it's critical, and you want to keep somebody informed, then keep I. If it's not a simple task, well, just don't use I. So if it's need basis, when you want to keep somebody in the loop and you want to inform that we are starting the activity, we are ending it, what's happening, somebody needs to be informed, choose I, otherwise leave it as it is. Consult is requested by the responsible if needed. Now, I would say if I know I'm the best guy who can complete this task, what if I get stuck? If I get stuck, I would need help, somebody guiding. I don't want some, so consult will be higher. These will be from higher management or probably the black belt himself. These people will be acting as a mentor, guide. We get somebody gets stuck, we can reach out to this person. Well, I've already blocked you as consult option. I was suspecting that I might get stuck, I might need help, guidance. Yeah, I already blocked you as a consult option very in the beginning. Yes, so if I need help, I will reach out to you. These people will not do anything. They will just give you guidance, some sort of mentoring. That's it. So if I feel there's a need, well, I will block somebody as consult option. I can block somebody as consult option. There's no need, let it be as it is. So if you feel you need some guidance, yes, you can block. So SIC is completely need basis, not a mandatory thing. That's why we divide roles and responsibilities to everyone in the project team. Now, is it okay, clear sort of thing with everyone? What is RASIC and how do we do it? Anyone has a question? Okay, I guess we're good. Then let's have a look at the template. So based on this, we can further, like, because we know the task, we can prepare a Gantt chart. A Gantt chart will help you know the timelines. How long will this task take? So how long? Probably it takes me 1 week time. How long will this task take? This will take me 1 week time. How long will this task take? Well, I can start it instantly. Initially also, I can plot the timelines, and that's how I get to know how long will define take. When define is over, we need to get started with this task. Well, it will take some time. How long will this task 7 take? Well, when it's completed, I can start. It will take 1 week. Okay. Well, how long will this 8 start? No, 8 can start initially also. So we can start. It will take about 2 weeks. So by this time, this is getting over. This can be completed. This task number 9 can only be completed when these 2 are completed. So we start after that. It takes me 3 weeks time. Say data collection is happening. So technically, you will be able to get a timeline how long define will take, how long measure will take based on the task. When you add up the task, your project will be over. That's what you're doing here. You end up preparing a Gantt chart kind of thing. So with this being said, you get clarity of the entire project timeline. Now, with when you completed the project, so people have have got responsibilities allocated to them. That's when you like prepare the last bit of your define phase tool, which we aren't discussing right now. As we already discussed, like FMEA is a risk management tool which we will be working on. But as we already mentioned, here it is a part of. So template is again a template, but very widely used template. So when we discussed about uh, this one, VOC, QFD, FME, and so it will get repeated there. Any which ways, when we do are in the improve phase, we will be talking about FMEA back again. So we'll use it, but in reality, remember one thing: when do we prepare FMEA? FMEA we prepare in the define phase itself. Why? Because it's a risk management tool. So technically, the moment your project started, your risk had started all automatically. So you need to prepare your plan for your risk very well in the beginning. Your project, once it's approved by the management, there is a possibility of it failing. So yes, you keep planning for possible threats to the business, to the project, and you keep mitigating them. So risk, this FMEA will come in handy. So we'll be studying this FMEA more likely even before the DMAIC, within the DMAIC itself, but specifically in the improve phase, when we talk about different solutions will be implemented. When you implement different solutions, when you want to improve the project, can those strategies fail? Yes. So there is a risk management needs to be done there also. We'll be talking about FMEA template technically in the improve phase, but in reality, when you're doing a project, it will be created in the define phase, it will be updated in the define phase, and in every phase it will keep getting updated. This is a live document which will never be marked as complete, it will never be marked as closed, because FMEA keeps getting updated. You will never know every possible risk. This risk of COVID came from nowhere. Nobody had any clue of something called COVID, but it came from nowhere, and now we're dealing with something which is a scary situation. But yes, we're still trying to kind of live up and understand how to manage. So that is a management which is happening here. So everyone across the globe is trying to adjust to a new normal, which is again the risk management. So it's part of the FMEA, which we'll be covering, because FMEA is not a Six Sigma tool. You pick up a PMP syllabus, you'll see FMEA there. You pick up any ISO document, you will see FMEA there, because it is like, it's imperative that you should be able to safeguard yourself. If you are not able to safeguard, it's like more like, I would say, vaccinating your process. You are vaccinating your process. What if something goes wrong in future? You already covered, you already protected. So FMEA is a need, and it is only document which is a live document. Project started, FMEA started. Project will get over, FMEA will never get over, because this will never get over. Project will get over in the control phase. FMEA will be a live document. It will continue to get updated all the time. So with that being said, we have parked all these tools at a certain stage, because that's where it makes more sense to study them, and because it makes a logical sequence. But yes, with that being said, we complete the define phase. So more like, once you complete this, you go for a management review, and once your toll gate review is there, management, they would sort of understand what are the challenges we faced, what are the things you could have done better. Bottom line, this is the stage where you kind of go through a management review, and you are allowed to start with your measure phase. So with that being said, anyone has any question in the entire define phase can definitely pitch in right away, and else, like, we'll talk about the next steps. Anyone has any questions? Absolutely, yes. Anand, the entire define phase is all about project management. 100% yes. The entire project management stuff. Define phase wasn't there initially, but with the Motorola, when GE coming in picture, they included project management part. The first part is just about planning for your project, selecting the project, and getting prepared for the further stages that you will be dealing with the measure phase, you analyze phase, and other phases that you have to deal with. It's just about preparing yourself. So getting the team in place, getting the communication plan, giving roles and responsibilities, just planning well. So your success rate definitely gets better when you're dealing with we have a project management experience. Definitely your project execution is much better than somebody who has done a project before. So more like, once you completed this at this stage, uh, you have, like, if we have to keep this basic fundamental in mind. Define phase is over, which is primarily a Six Sigma way. So define, measure, analyze, improve, control. That's the journey of Six Sigma. This is where we deal with 5 different phases of Six Sigma. Define phase, we've got over. Management has approved the project part of it. Yes, now we're ready to start measure phase. At this stage, while Six Sigma journey will start at measure, analyze, improve, control. Similarly, parallelly, what we will be doing is we will be starting lean at the same time. So right, once define is over, the here itself, as measure, phase starts, lean also starts. You start doing something about the project. The project has been approved, sanctioned. Go ahead and get your project rolling. This is the same time when your project will start the Six Sigma journey, which is one way, and parallelly, Lean will also be working all together. So they will work hand in hand. So right now, what we will be continuing, rather the measure phase, if you want, like we can go with a measure, analyze, improve, control. That can be chosen as a preferred option. So we continue with the Six Sigma journey. Then we can take up Lean later on. So we can do that. So we can start with the measure phase altogether, and or we can do like get over with the lean. I think that will be good to kind of get over with the lean, and then we can start with the measure, analyze, improve, control. So lean will not be a big topic, but yes, then remaining will kind of cover up. So let me quickly take up the chart, and then we'll discuss about the lean part of it. Okay, quickly. Is it advisable to put Gantt chart in the system for monitoring the purpose of compliance? Gantt chart will always be in place. So then when we looked at this one, it was actually talking about the project charter part. It was talking about Gantt chart in place. So Gantt chart will always be there. So it will always be 100%. Yes, you're correct when you say that. Moving on to the next question, is Scrum a part of Six Sigma? No, Scrum is not a part of Six Sigma. It is like just Six Sigma just has your define, measure, analyze. So Scrum is very, very new as compared to Six Sigma. Again, different methods, more like on the same lines. While Agile does come into picture with Six Sigma. Now, see, you can club a lot of stuff. Like, see, there are different methodologies people have been using. You can use combinations. As I said, these are just tools available. You can try, and it's just about the person who's using it. If you're comfortable using, like I do robotic process automation also, wherever applied. So this is completely different. With Six Sigma, I use robotics. It helps. So wherever it works, yes, you can try it out different methods. But Six Sigma as alone, it's Six Sigma. Lean is a separate stuff. Agile is separate. Scrum is separate. Yeah, if you have knowledge of different tools, you can use them because you know the purpose of the tool. You know how to use it. Use it. These are just tools. Again, nothing is again wrong or right. It's just about it should solve the problem. That's it. And better. So the advantage of taking up more and more skills is that you have more answers of a given problem. You decide what's best. So yes, taking up more skill-based training will definitely help in getting a multiple options ready for, so you'll not get stuck. You'll have answers in some way or other. Which company or industry applies ISO? See, ISO 13053 is technically the way it teaches us that when you're implementing Six Sigma, so you can implement Six Sigma as it is, or else what you can say that what ISO 13053 says, the procedure protocol laid down in ISO 13053, I will follow the guidelines as is listed there. I'll use all the templates trackers. So whatever is listed in as per ISO 13053, they can use this. So ISO is not a mandatory requirement. So I may still use ISO 13000. I may not. There's only one client till date I have worked on who wanted us to implement Six Sigma as per ISO 13053. So we've done only one project till now. That was somewhere in Africa. We had a client who specifically demanded that, yeah, I need Six Sigma implementation, but done as per the set standards in the ISO 13053. So we worked as per that. No, Ella, there's no standard templates. These are like these. You'll see different variations of these templates here and there. So there's no standard templates for these. How can design thinking come into place with Six Sigma? See, it is Anand. When we talk about design thinking, it's more of again another way of solving the problems. Like, so you would have different ways of interpreting a problem. It definitely helps. So having a knowledge, as I said, having a knowledge of different perspectives would definitely help. When you come across a situation, you would have answers. Some answers you see. There's something called ITIL. We can look into ITIL. We can look into Agile. You can use Scrum Master. We can use your robotics part of it, process automation. You look at the design thing. You have options. Like, so the more you know, definitely these are, I would say, these are weapons in your armory. And the Six Sigma is just a best practice. It has certain tools and techniques already listed there. Plus, there are certain new tools and techniques which are available. So I will use, in the end, the client has a problem, wants the problem to be solved. If you have more insights, that's where you end up billing your customer clients for. If you have more knowledge, more experience, you definitely leverage that, because you would always have an answer in some shape or form. You get it answered through design thinking, you get it answered through Agile, Six Sigma, Lean. Client doesn't have nothing to do with it. Yeah, so get it solved. Like, so yes, having knowledge definitely helps. Nowadays Agile is too much into buzz, because PMP, PMI body has taken up Agile serious, like, significantly. Earlier they were just into PMP certification. They are very much after post this lockdown COVID situation. They've been like going after Agile certifications too much. So pretty much it's got like really hyped up now. I'm not saying it's bad, it's good, definitely good, but yes, it's now one of the, because PMI was more likely into the PMP certification, or now they have like another vertical which has opened up for them. So yes, they would promote it as much as they can. Yeah. Now moving on with the lean part of it, like lean, as I said, is won't be a too bigger, broader topic for us to cover. But yes, we will sort of quickly move on to lean aspects. I'll place all these, whatever the project prioritization template there, any which ways. Quickly have a look at the lean part of it, and we'll sort of move ahead. Now, with respect to lean, lean has 5 different principles. Like we have uh, mm, five phases in Six Sigma. Like you have define, measure, analyze, improve, control. Similarly, lean has 5 different phases, 5 different principles, you may say, uh, which is identify value, map the value stream, make the process flow, enable pull, and strive for perfection. So lean gets implemented in these 5 different phases only. Now, let's, first thing first, it talks about identifying value. So I'll sort of elaborate it on our original sheet. So we can have a basic idea of lean to get started. When you talk about lean, first thing first, in a very layman example, I would like try to kind of put it together, the different process steps which we are working on, and roughly it takes me 10 days. Now, lean is, we've already discussed the basic definition of lean. Lean is identifying and eliminating, identification and elimination of waste from the process. That's what we are talking about. It is all about time. It is all about speed of the process. That's what lean does. Can you deliver, can you deliver product or service faster? So that's what we are looking for. In with implementing lean, it is all about time. Can you do it in less than 10 days? Definitely yes. That is what is lean. So first thing first is to identify a waste. When you identify the waste, you will be able to eliminate it. First thing is to identify. So first logic of when we talk about lean logic, it says identify value. Is it a value? Is it a value? How do we identify? Is it a value add or a waste? So the first definition, how we go by logic of this, is identification of waste, of value or waste, whatever we call this. That's what we need to get clarity on. Say we're talking about this step number A. Uh, we try to understand, like, is, so first question in like, before we go further in anything, remember one basic fundamental with lean: all answers in lean are answered from customers standpoint, as if customer is answering them. You cannot, not from, so not from organization standpoint, not from profit standpoint. All answers are answered as if the customer is answering them personally. So Say there is a product which is delivered at the end of 10 days, you end up charging, say the customer say $1,000 for this product, or you deliver a service at the end of 10 days, you end up charging $1,000 for this service. Now, if customer was made aware that these are the things you do, step number A, B, C, D, and E, and F, after which you end up charging the product or service from the customer. If customer gets to know what is that you're doing in step number A, if customer gets to know what are the steps, what are the things which you do in step number B, every step, if the customer gets to know, will the customer be able to validate whether it's a meaningful activity or a unmeaningful activity? The first question we ask by when we are trying to eliminate a waste, identify a waste, is will the customer be willing to pay for this activity? Whatever activity you are doing, if the customer was made aware that this step number A, this is what we're doing, will the customer, after knowing that fact, because for every step there's a cost, and ultimately you're charging the, say the cost of all this was $800, and plus you added your $200 profit, and that's when you're charging $1,000 to the customer. So for every step there is some cost which is there. If the customer was made aware that what steps you're doing and what is done in that, if the in reality what we're trying to find out here is this step important in the eyes of customer? This is what we're trying to find out. If it's important to the customer would definitely pay for it. If it is not important for the customer will say, no, why do I pay for this? Bottom line, that's what we try to find out. If the customer was made aware of what we're doing in step number A, will the customer be willing to pay for this? If it's important to the customer, yes. See, if the answer comes as yes, then it's a value added activity. It's an important activity. You must do this because customer wants you to do this. It's important for the customer. If the answer comes as no, why should I pay for this? Well, just assume that you, like I have a pizzeria. I've been selling pizzas for say $10, and one fine day I have increased the price from $10 to $15. Now the customers do not mind paying, but would definitely want to understand what changed overnight. From $10 to $15, there must have been something. Are you giving me a bigger pizza, or are you giving me extra toppings, or probably the price of raw material has increased? What has increased? What I have hired somebody from say Oxford University or some Harvard University. This management guy, will change the fortunes of the company, and obviously comes with a bigger price tag. Well, that's your problem, right? Why should I pay for your wills and fancies? You want to hire somebody from a very prestigious institution, obviously you want to pay a huge salary, but then what it has to do with me? It's your problem. You hire, you pay. Why should that inflate my cost of pizza? Well, that's where if your customer is made aware of such things, definitely customers will raise questions. So if the customer is not willing to pay for this, definitely it's a non-valued activity. But if you get the answer to the first question as no, it's not a valued activity in the eyes of customer. Customer is not willing to pay for this. Step number 2. Question number 2 is what you ask. If I remove this step, why? Because customer is not willing to pay for this. Will my process fail? Bottom line, because customer doesn't want to do it, I would like to remove it. But if I remove it, will my process fail? Either you're making a product or you're delivering a service, will it fail? If the answer is yes, then it's a value added activity. It must be done to ensure process runs smoothly. The product or service is delivered. You cannot remove it. Bottom line, what we're trying to explore here is this step making your product or service? Is it doing something with it? Is it changing it? Is it like so? Is it doing something with the product? Changing it, whatever. It's if it's doing something, formulating, transforming. If it's transforming your product, that means it's doing something with your product. Then it's a value added. It's making the product. It must be done. If the answer is no, now if I remove this step, the process still remains the same. The quality doesn't get hampered. But I would know for sure here when I'm going to implement lean by identifying and eliminating the waste, I would like to do it without compromising quality. Quality of product or service cannot be changed. So whatever the customer was getting at the end of 10 days earlier, the customer should be getting the same quality or better quality, but cannot be, this quality cannot be compromised. So yes, if my product or service, this step is removed, if the process fails, the quality gets deteriorated, well, then it's not a good thing. It's definitely waste. But if it's removed and it still doesn't matter, the quality doesn't get hampered, everything remains same, then it's definitely a pure waste. Neither the customer wants nor your process fails. Then why are you doing it? That's a pure waste. So this is what we know as waste identification. We have identified waste, which is called as non-value added. So non-value added activities. These activities are not adding any value to the product or service, neither the customer wants nor your process wants it. Now, can you remove all the waste? Absolutely no. The answer is no. We can never, ever, ever remove all the waste because these waste will further be classified as required non-value added waste. These are required. These are also known as RNVA. And there are some waste which are called pure waste, which is non-value added waste, absolutely as non-value added waste or activities. We call it as NVAs. Now, this is a waste. We are saying it's a required waste. We must have these. So bottom line, what remember this is what we reduce these waste. We want to keep, these are required. You cannot remove them. If you remove them, it will hurt you. So we would like to reduce these required non-valued waste, and we would like to remove this as much as we can. We don't want these at all, but we need these. Definitely, we need the required non-valued waste. What are these required ones? Like training department, quality department, your finance team, your marketing team. Why should the customer pay for your training team? Why should the customer pay for your quality guys? Customer is willing to pay for the product. Why should they pay for your finance people, marketing people, HR people? No, that's not what I would like to pay for. Will the customer be willing to pay for these people? Absolutely not. They would like to pay for the product or the service. Why should they bear the cost of these additional people? Because ultimately you're paying them the salary. How are you paying them the salary? Because their cost is baked in the cost. So ultimately cost is borne by the customer. Customer is paying for them. Why should the customer pay for this? So definitely customer will never be willing to pay for this activity, these people. If you remove these people, will your process fail? Absolutely not. Training is not making your product. Quality is not making your product. These people are not making your product or service. They are supplementary. They're outside the basic process. Can you remove them? Are they waste? Definitely they are waste. But can you remove them? No. If you don't have the training team, who is going to train your staff? We don't have a quality team, who's going to audit? You don't have finance guys, the marketing guys, similarly HR. Bottom line, these are overhead costs which are there and has to be there. Bottom line, but they are waste. What you need to do is do a rational thinking and see, is there something which I can reduce? We did a similar activity. We had one company where we had 55 trainers, and like this was absolutely, the company was in multiple locations. Like globally, we had like 5 to 6 different locations where we did it, and we dropped it down to like 5, roughly what I remember is 5 trainers. We got it centralized. We got it the digital way. Like we got the best of the trainers. We increased the pay. and we got the best out of them. So we had all the like, training done rather than being done locally. We got it done through a virtual mode where everyone globally was getting trained at the same time, like we are having it right now. Way back we did this activity uh, because technically it was every trainer in every local location was not being fully optimized. Could we manage this with a lesser trainer? Yes, we were able to do it. Bottom line, we need to do a rational thinking. So we say we have like 10 people who are into quality. Do you need really 10 people? Are they optimized to the fullest? Bottom line, you need to reduce the count. Look at it and see how much you're utilizing them, because they are overhead costs for you. Now quickly going and checking the chat will, but it's like changing and adding people to maximize the potential. Changing or adding people to maximize their potential. Yeah, so we are looking at eliminating the cost, eliminating these are the people. So if there is any activity that you're doing, if it is not like leading to the process failure, the customer is not willing to pay for this, that will be termed as a waste. But now you got to keep this in mind when you want to remove this as a waste. Is it something which is a required one? If it's a required one, then definitely you can't remove. But yes, you'd like to see how many times you're doing it, and you want to probably reduce the number of those activities or those people, number of people. If you you may be adding or like removing or moving them to a different department, whatever you may be doing. But bottom line, this needs to be rationally thought of. Like you have to look at, are we really optimizing them? If we're not, then pretty much optimize them, give them more work to do probably, or have a look at the utilization percentage of their the time. So accordingly, you can kind of look into it, Gerard. Is it does it answer your question? Uh, okay, all right. So coming back to the ones which are pure waste, which is what we would like to remove all of it, is generally say it's a the easier way to remember this is something what we refer as Tim Woods. Tim Woods is the easier way to remember these waste. T stands for transportation waste, inventory waste, motion waste, waiting waste, overproduction waste, over processing waste, defects or reworks, and skills. When I say skills, it's unutilized skills. So transportation waste is all the waste of unnecessary. It is unnecessary movement of material or thing. Physical products being moved from one location to another, from a store to the production house, from production house to say some store. Unnecessary movement. Is that making a product? No. It's just movement of material happening. Is it utilizing your resources? Yes. It's utilizing some of my machinery, my people. Bottom line, it is not making my product. It just wastage of time where the product will be shifted from one location to another. So you have to look at your process and see if you're doing too much of movement and unnecessary movement of material or thing, it has to be cut down because that's adding no value whatsoever. Inventory waste, this is excess of raw material. This is mother of waste technically, because when you get excess inventory more than what is required, yes, you would generally need some sort of buffer stock so that you can take care of some exigencies. But having more than what is required, it will be definitely waste, because as a businessman, the money in circulation, the money which is always in flow, is the real thing. Practically, money which gets blocked as a inventory is a waste, because this money is blocked. It's not giving you any returns. Now you'll be having additional cost. It will be cost of storage, the cost of storage, which will be some area which will be blocking to keep the raw material. There will be cost of sort of maintaining that inventory, managing the inventory. What if it gets damaged? So all those, probably the cost of insurance of that inventory also. Bottom line, this is not just alone the cost of raw material. There will be additional cost which will be added on top of it, which is why it is a pure waste, which needs to be looked into and we should take away any unnecessary raw material out of it. Motion waste is movement of, again, unnecessary movement of people. When you have to do too much of movement to do your job, practically you're moving and that movement is not adding any value. I never fail to sort of tell this because I personally realized it very, very late. Like we had a huge facility. Like last I was employed way back in 2014 when I was into corporate jobs. I had my cabin somewhere here, and we had a huge centralized printer. Earlier, everyone had their printer because there was some or other problem was coming in the printer. So they got a huge centralized printer. They took off every other printer from everyone. So we had a huge centralized printer somewhere here. So if I would sort of give a printout, I will get out of my cabin, go into this walk and then cubicles, take those zigzag motions and sort of and reach out to this place, pick up my printout, come back. So, and it used to take roughly about 3 minutes if I just straight away go there, and like it used to take me about 3 minutes to come back. So that was my basic journey of giving a printout and picking up a printout. So I did my maths way too late when I was trying to understand the lean aspect of it, of unnecessary movement. Say 3 minutes to go and 3 minutes to come back. So that means 6 minutes for a printout, per printout. On average, I used to give like 3 printouts per day. So roughly about 18 minutes wasted walking in the corridor, doing nothing, just picking up a printout and just doing a small marathon race for myself. Well, just trying to kind of pick up a printout. If I do the basic maths, like if I spend like 18 minutes on a given day, and we work like 26 days in a month, so with a 1 weekly off, which is like Sundays. So I would roughly waste about 468 minutes in a year. If I convert this into hours, if I divide by 60, I would have wasted about, this is month, sorry. And in a year, I would be wasting about 5,616 minutes. This is in a month, in a year. And if I convert this into hours, which is divided by 60, this is 93.6 hours wasted in a year. If I convert into billable days, say we work 8 hours a day, so we divide by 8 hours, I would have wasted about 11.7 days of salary in the entire year walking in the corridor, picking up a printout. That's it. And that's just one activity. And trust, everyone is doing similar activities. This is one waste which is so much, so huge. It's disguised waste. It's not seen, it's not observed, but it's a huge waste. Everyone does so much of motion waste. It needs to be looked into, because Japanese people are the best in terms of implementing lean. These guys mastered the art of lean, and they take an account of seconds. Forget about minutes. They look into seconds. And because this adds, because the frequency of such activities are very, very high, so you end up doing so much of waste. Nobody cares for a minute or two, but when it happens too frequently, you have your maths in front of you. There's a huge waste which is there, which needs to be taken care of. Similarly, there's a waiting waste, which is where we, if see, waiting for approval, waiting for material, waiting for instructions. Why are you waiting? Now you look at your process. When step number A got over, why isn't your step number B starting? B got over, C isn't starting. Why? Why there's a waiting? C got over, D isn't starting. Why there's a waiting? Lean is all about cutting down time. Waiting will increase the time. It's a violation of lean. So bottom line, waiting is adding no value, just prolonging your period. It's bad. Similarly, there is overproduction. When you end up having excess raw material, now this is excess of finished goods. Excess of finished goods. Now the worth of the cost of the product is even higher, because earlier it was just raw material. Now the cost of the money which is stuck is even bigger, because you've got finished good. You already worked on it. Now there will be cost of storage, insurance, management, and all that stuff will be there. So I'm sorry, unfortunately, you had excess material, so you could do excess production also, which is again a waste. You blocked your money, waiting for one fine day when there will be demand, and we have to kind of will kind of sell this product in the market. Again, a waste. Over processing is overdoing something. When you do overdo something, it is a waste, a pure waste. Like for example, I asked somebody to share like the data. Now this guy has complete knowledge of statistics and all. He sends me the data with complete analysis. Did I ask for it? No. But did this person do over processing? Yes. Technically, this is where we need to understand, we need to deliver exactly what the customer is looking for. Overdoing is again a violation of lean. Now coming back to this, say for example, client is looking for quality of say 90%. This is what my client is looking for. Well, any given day, 90% or more will be preferred by the client. But what we might end up doing is we have set up a target of 99% quality. Well, everything comes with a price. Client is not ready to pay you for that. So suffocating yourself for a 99% quality when you're okay with 90% would again be over processing, because to get to this level of quality, you will have to kind of do a lot of stuff. It's just again over processing, because I'm not saying right there be at 90%, but you can still, you still, client is not looking for this 99%. You are sort of suffocating yourself, making it difficult for you, yourself, your people to get to that level, like reading too much into the lines, fine tuning it more than is required. That's what you're doing here. So overdoing needs to be avoided, because this is not nice, because you end up doing something which customers are not even looking for. Defects and rework, this is like self-explanatory. When you have a defect, you will end up reworking and fixing it to get the product in place. So when you rework, you are taking more time. Bottom line, you're violating lean. Lean is all about cutting down time. Be it a defect, be it a rework, you will end up taking more time, more resource, more raw material. Bottom line, it'll be a waste. And when we talk about skills, skills is, this is a corporate curse now. Like in a corporate world, a lot of people, you might have seen, like people have a habit of controlling things. People have become control freak. Uh, See, when during a hiring process, I might demand a lot of skills from my people. Like when during interview process, you should know agile, you should know scrum, you should know project management, you should know Six Sigma, you should know robotics, and God knows what not. But when I've hired these people, then I start giving them instructions. Do this, do that, do this, do that. Well, if you really needed a clerk, you should have hired a clerk. Well, have hired somebody with great skill sets. Let the person execute the knowledge. When you do not let people utilize their talent, you are creating a waste here. It's a skills waste, which is not generally visible, not seen, but you have to understand, if you're not doing a proper justice to the talent potential, uh, it is a waste. When you have a job which can be done by 2 people and 10 people are deployed to do the job, again a waste there. So bottom line, these wastes are hidden. You have to look at your process, understand your process, see this waste, find this hidden waste in your process and cut it down, because this accounts for a big chunk of waste in your process. If I talk about Toyota is the leader in terms of lean. Toyota says we have only 5% of value added work. This is what Toyota says. There's about 25% of required non-value added work. Value added work. And remaining, what we're left with is 70% is pure, is non-value added. Even with this company, which is the flag bearer of lean, these guys say there's so much to improve. What these guys have mastered it. They are the best in the industry when it comes to lean. These guys say this is what is the state of affairs at our end. If this is the state of affairs at Toyota, you can't imagine what we are working with. It's pathetic. In generally, in a lot of organizations, we go with the lean logic. It's miserable. This is with the leader. this is what has made them the pioneer at this levels. But practically, when we look at this waste, one of this biggest waste you will see is the motion, which will not be seen. This is probably the second biggest, which will, these are unseen waste. These will be hidden waste. You will not be able to figure out unless until you specifically try to look into it and understand what's happening wrong. Now, quickly moving on to the chat to take up the question. Absolutely, this is a lot of waste. Honestly, thanks, Michael. But these are trust. A lot of waste which is there in the industry. People fail because we don't see. If you know the question to be asked, that's when you'll be able to improve. Yes, we should go and introspect and understand what are the different types of waste. Yes, we should be able to figure out and classify different types of waste. Now, quickly moving on, we would not be going ahead with this remaining topics today, given that we won't be able to cover. How did they go wrong, Toyota, and recalling the vehicle? See, surely every organization, when we talk about, there are a lot of instances where people have done blunders. Toyota, for that matter, BMW, or any like all those companies, they have done blunders. It's done by people only, and that's why automation is required. Like most of the cases nowadays, people are looking for automation because people will not be making those products. Will issues will not be repeated because till the time there is a human intervention, there could be a chance of making an error. And that's what happened with be it Toyota or BMW or any big brand. People have made blunders. Samsung has made so many blunders. It happens, but unfortunately that's what we have to understand. With being human, there will be errors made. People will make errors, but again, the chances of making error with respect to Toyota, believe me, they have, when we understand about the remaining aspects of it, Toyota, if I would say, like people who are to get to the level of Toyota will take decades even, because Toyota has mastered the art of like implementing lean. We have a lot of tools in lean, but the one which these guys have sort of leveraged, they have created their own system of implementing lean, is what we know as TPS, Toyota Production System. Something we'll be discussing in our next class. We'll be going with this Toyota part of it. We'll learn about other phases, how these phases are implemented. So we will study this lean part of it from a Toyota Production System perspective, because that's how the best way lean can be understood. How lean was implemented, is being used practically everywhere also. So TPS, Toyota Production System, is the best way lean can be understood and implemented. So we'll go with the and we'll see how the other principles of yeah, they basically these remaining four principles of lean are implemented and gets covered in the Toyota Production Systems. We'll go with there. And thanks, Shirley. Yes, their motto is reliability, because technically these guys, even till date, see, if I have to close my eyes and pick a car based on reliability, there's nothing better than Toyota, unless there could be some one odd instance here and there. But Toyota till date, they because it's all customer based, as we discussed, lean is all about from customer standpoint. What would the customer be looking? It's not on profit sake or not from industry benchmark. It's all about what my end customer would be looking for in my product or service. So their logic is completely lean is all about end customer who will be using the product or service. So this is pretty much what we had. Like, so we will be covering up the remaining topics, like on the lean part of it, before getting to the measure thing. We'll cover most likely, say, when we talk about this lean part of it, plus we will be able to cover the basic of statistics. First, when we get started, we will be covering up statistics part of it in the next session. So we'll be able to cover lean and stats part in the next session, and that's when we'll be able to move forward, because we need to get a clarity of stats before we get into measure, because going forward there will be statistics required, like, because most of us have already done the green belt, should have already understood like Six Sigma. When we start with the measure phase, all the analysis will get started. So yeah, before that we need to prepare ourselves for the remaining phases. So once we're done with the lean, we'll pick up the stats. So next session we'll be completing the remaining portion of lean and the stats part, with which we'll be ready for measure, analyze, improve, control. So, but before we call it a day, I quickly like to show it to you. How does that sample project, which you'll be getting a link for that, but just give me one quick second. Let me show it to you how this will show up. Oh, not this one. This is a sample one. This is a sample one, which is just trying to show it to you. You'll get a link, a Google Drive link, which will be something like this. You'll be able to, you'll get a link to open up, and when you click on define, you'll see the define phase questions. Look at the, so you'll have define phase questions. You can attempt for the define phase questions, and that's simple as that. So when you're done with define, when you complete the measure phase, you can complete with the measure part of it. So you'll have the link, and then you'll have all the options. But I would definitely recommend, don't try to like attempt these questions beforehand. Once we're done with the phase, like we know we're done with define phase, now you are okay to go and attempt all the define phase questions. When we're done with the measure, then pick up the ones, because it will, when you get the link, you'll get linked as a whole. So that's how you should be going with. Uh, are we okay with this, everyone? Like, so you'll be getting the link from IMC. They will be sharing the link with everyone because they have your email IDs and all. Otherwise, I could have shared it from here. All right. So yes, I will be placing this Excel file that we worked upon, plus the project prioritization template. And yes, I will be sharing like not today, but yes, most likely by Tuesday, a book on Six Sigma. Just for additional reference, I'll be sharing other books also, but I'll be sharing a book on Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma. One of the book which personally I have referred during my training time, pretty much also until date is being practiced. Pretty much, I like. Let me just kind of. This is Six Sigma handbook. This is what we have. One of the best authors on Six Sigma is Thomas Pizak. So I have a little, like, probably I guess I have third or fourth edition. Currently, if somebody wants, like, this is a soft copy, but yes, somebody wants to buy the latest version. I think this is, they already launched a sixth edition right now. But yes, technically Six Sigma hasn't changed. So you read a fourth edition or a fifth edition or sixth edition, practically you're looking at the same thing with few tweaks here and there. So you'll be better off even looking at the one which I share. But yes, there are a lot of other books you can. I'll share a lot of books. I'm sure that will come in handy. Because see, once you're done with the entire training part, definitely pick up a book, at least a book, one on stats part, while we're sharing another book on stats only, and another on the Six Sigma part of it. So at least, and one on lean. So at least you have some reference book to look at, and then take your time, because see, the more you study, the more better concepts will get. You will have fair bit of understanding. Right now, picking up these books may not help, for a simple reason. When you have the understanding of the concept, then you can relate with any author. Every author has a different way of explaining it. Some authors will have like a very, like a harsh language in terms of the complexity, the technicality. Some authors are very easy to understand, but yes, if you understand the concept, you will be able to relate with anyone. Thomas Pizak would be a little complicated in terms of if you do not understand the concept. So yes, it's good to kind of get understanding of the concept and then pick up anything. Online options are also available. I'll share, like, I have the PDF versions of all those books. Give me time until Tuesday. I'll place the books in the Google Drive itself. But yes, the templates and all that I have, I'll share it in the Google Drive today itself, right after this session. But the books I will share on Tuesday. So that is all. In case if anyone has any other question, please feel free. If any questions. Okay, I guess then we're good. So thanks a lot, everyone. And please stay safe and healthy. Thanks, Anton. That's what is required for everyone. So please do enjoy and do take good care of yourself. Let's connect next Saturday. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.